Well, ho, 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 everybody. Hello, it's me, Leo Laporte. It's time for our annual year-end Travel Back in Time, our best of 2022. The Tech Guy Show has been so much fun. It was my last year as the Tech Guy, at least on the radio. As you probably know, Micah Sargent and I will kick things back into gear starting January 8th with our all-new Ask the Tech Guys show on Sundays, same time. And if you're already subscribed to the Tech Guys show, you'll get it, same feed. We are going to have a lot of fun, though, today, looking back at 2022 and some of the crazy stories of the year. The Tech Guy Best of 2022 is next.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT. This is the Tech Guy, 1955, our very last Tech Guy, the best of 2022 for January 1st, 2023. Enjoy. Listeners of this program get an ad-free version if they're members of Club TWiT. $7 a month gives you ad-free versions of all of our shows, plus membership in the Club TWiT Discord, a great clubhouse for TWiT listeners. And finally, the TWiT Plus feed with shows like Stacy's Book Club, The Untitled Linux Show, The Giz Fizz, and more. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit. And thanks for your support. Hello, everybody. It's me. I'm under here, the Tech Guy. This is going to be a great show. We have put together a whole bunch of fun stuff from the Tech Guy show over the last year. If you missed the Tech Guy this year, you missed a lot. And of course, next year, it's going to be an all new Ask the Tech Guys with me and Micah Sargent. But let's look back at the year 2022. We kick things off. I think this is back in January, talking about the soon to happen over the counter hearing aids revolution. A little bit about hearing aids on the Tech Guy.
All the callers have been very funny this morning.
Oh, good.
I like George in Hudson, Florida, because you're going to help him with hearing aids or his wife is threatening to kick him out.
Oh, that's what happened to me. Thank you, Kim. Hello, George, Leo Laporte, Micah Sargent, your Tech Guys. Micah's too young to actually know anything about hearing aids, but we'll see what we can do.
You'll learn soon enough, believe me.
Welcome to the show.
Leo, my wife's going to throw me out if I don't get a hearing aid. And I say to her, huh?
Do you get this? Do you get this where you say, why are you guys all mumbling so much these days? Kids today, they just mumble.
I go with my wife to her uncle's place and it's down south of us, and they climb all over my case because I can't hear a thing they're saying. I can hear it, but I don't know what the hell they're saying.
Here's the beauty.
It's mumbled up somehow.
Yeah, here's the beauty of hearing aids. You can turn them off. So you're picking, this is a good time to get a hearing aid. When I bought mine, I had to go to an audiologist who then gave me a hearing test, and then I had to pay $6,000 out of pocket for hearing aids. I got mine from Starkey. Now I have a pair of Resounds because I just wanted to try around. But the good news is over-the-counter hearing aids are finally happening. The FDA has been dragging their feet. In 2017, Congress mandated over-the-counter hearing aids. In other words, in fact, it was called the Over-the-Counter Hearing Aid Act. In other words, that you wouldn't have to go to an audiologist, that you could, in fact, buy hearing aids over the counter, like at a drugstore. Now, it's not quite done yet. There's, the audiologists and the hearing aid manufacturers aren't really happy. But there are companies like Oticon, and I also should add Apple and Samsung and others who are really thinking, what can we do if we could sell hearing aids over the counter for a lot less? What could we do? Oticon is a Danish company that's been around for a while doing real hearing aids, i.e. expensive, for a long time. But they are starting to look at, sub $1,000 hearing aids. And I think there are other companies starting to do this. At this point, though, unless your wife can develop some patience, It might be that you still have to go.
How long have you been married, Leo?
Yeah, exactly. It might have to be that you go now to an audiologist. I think this is about to explode, but it's still early days yet. So, if you can get your insurance to cover it, highly recommended. They're very expensive, but they do work, and that's the beauty of it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let me just stay on the line because I didn't really get to finish this conversation. Let me see what the latest date of this is. Can you believe it was 5 years ago that this became the law? But
yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot of options.
Yeah, as of last month, the FDA has yet to publish. Thank you, FDA, for kowtowing to the hearing aid manufacturers and the audiologists. Big ear, we call them. Yeah. Once the FDA regulations are published, then it should happen quickly. There are quite a few companies. Audicus, Bose, Eargo is the one I'm familiar with. Jabra, you may remember them from Bluetooth headsets. Lexi and Lively are all, working really hard to make hearing aids. You might look at the Eargos. They're about half as much as Starkeys and Resounds, and you don't need to go to an audiologist. They sell direct to consumers. They're still expensive. Actually, they're not half as much because this is so annoying. The pricing is for one. $2,000 for one. So they're a little less expensive. They, of course, don't sell them one at a time. So that's really kind of, maybe not. But they're one of the companies.
They sell them in pairs.
Yeah, they only sell them in pairs. So why they give you the price for one is beyond me.
Thing is, I went to my insurance company and they told me who I should see, and I have to go. I got an appointment for an audiologist.
Good.
The 1st of July, and they're just wondering what I'm stepping into here.
Here's what an audiologist will do. They'll give you a test. You sit in a little room, and you've probably done this before. I did it in grade school, where you raise your left hand if you hear in your left ear and that kind of thing. They'll do that, and they'll create a graph of where your hearing deficits are. And then when you get hearing aids like the traditional hearing aids like Starkeys or Resounds, they will then match that curve. Here's the first thing I learned, though, that was really disappointing to me. I thought I'd hear better. Hearing aids do not make you hear better. Hearing aids make voices more audible, more clear. They only amplify in the voice range. And so the first thing you notice, it actually takes a while to get used to hearing aids. First thing you notice is there's a lot of, as we age, we lose our high end. There's a lot of high end sound that actually should bring Scott in, because Scott probably knows a little bit about this. You lose your high end hearing first. And so there's a lot of high end sounds all of a sudden, like clothes rustling and my feet on the carpet that I hadn't heard in years. And all of a sudden it's really freaking loud.
And carbonation in Coke and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you wear hearing aids, Scott?
I have them. I wear them occasionally.
Yeah, me too. I have them. They're a little annoying, and I hear well enough that I don't yet feel like I have to wear them all the time.
You're
you
exactly
right. Not wear them, by the way, once you get them. In fact, there's evidence that there's cognitive decline goes along with hearing loss.
Yes.
Because you kind of dial out. And I don't know if you're experiencing this, George, but when you can't hear stuff, you kind of dial out, and apparently that's related to, separating from the world.
I think that's what my wife's problem is. She thinks I'm dialing her out.
Yeah,
but
you're not.
No.
Yeah. So I was hoping for something that would give. In fact, we should talk about this with Scott, because it is germane to hearing. Eargo makes a hi-fi hearing aid that's of course more expensive. That's designed to give you better full range hearing, which is an interesting idea.
Let's go to Trevor in Cleburne, Texas.
All right. Hello, Trevor. Thank you, Kim. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Welcome.
Leo, two things. First of all, I called you back in December. I was looking for a 17-inch quiet laptop. You recommended the LG Gram. You were right on the mark. Thank you. It's been
nice.
Quiet since I purchased it.
Quiet and thin.
Yes, sir. So the reason I'm calling today is I'm a third-grade teacher south of Fort Worth. My principal is looking into live video announcements. And so
wow, we've come a long way from the speaker in every classroom and the principal getting on. No, I want to tell everybody.
So currently that's exactly it's over the intercom.
Yeah.
All that.
Yeah.
So I was doing some research.
So she wants to have a screen in every room, or how does she want to do it?
Well, so my school was built in 2007. They all came with projectors installed in the ceiling.
Nice. Very nice.
And so, we can, what I was looking at was using open broadcast software with YouTube to stream an announcement. So I was looking at different video equipment. I'm familiar with like the Sony cameras around $900, but I was looking for something cheaper, like maybe the Zoom Q8 and 4K.
And then you'll hook it up to a computer and then have the computer stream it?
Yeah, and then, so we have zero equipment. So I need to get the cameras, tripod, green screen.
You said cameras. Does she want? I'm saying she. Is it a she? Is the principal a her or a him?
Yeah, it's Miss Landeros.
Ms. Landeros. Hi, Ms. Landeros. Do they want a 2-camera shoot? Do they want do you think they'll have more than one camera or just one camera?
Well, the thing, minimum of 2. One would be for her, and then another camera would be for the students.
The students, so she can see the students, or
no? So the students could be like doing the Pledge of Allegiance in one part of the room.
I get it.
Do some of the announcements.
So
in the other
now,
part of the room.
As soon as you have more than one camera, it gets more complicated because obviously you have to have a switcher.
Right.
There is a switcher. I mean, I know your budget's tight. I'll mention this. There's a switcher from Blackmagic Design, blackmagicdesign.com, called the A10 Mini Pro, which streams direct. It's a switcher that streams direct. You could hook up to 4 cameras. They could be any camera that supports HDMI. So you can get cheap. Honestly, I would get cheap consumer camcorders. Nobody's buying camcorders anymore, so they're cheap, a couple $100. Then you could have up to 4 of them. Somebody would have to sit there and switch it. It also has audio, and it will stream. So you don't need a computer then. The whole thing does itself. Unfortunately, this, it's about $500 for the Mini Pro. And then maybe $200 for each camera. So you're still under $1,000 total plus tax.
Yeah, I was concerned about audio quality, so that's why I was looking at Zoom.
ATEM solves this because you can have lavalier mics, which you're gonna want a lavalier for the principal, and you're gonna want a wider angle mic that's just aimed at the students, so they can pick up the students. They're gonna be separately mic'd. But that's the beauty of the A10 Mini. It has a mixer built into it. So I'm thinking that's what you should probably look at. The Zooms, you're going to have different audio from each Zoom. Plus, how do you switch cameras? So it's a little tricky.
Are you familiar with the open broadcast software?
Yeah. I mean, you could do a lot of this in software, but you'd have to be able to take multiple USB inputs, and then you'd have to mix it. And that's actually harder, believe it or not. As long as the software can handle multiple audio and video streams and then mix them down, you could do that.
This Blackmagic you're recommending, how does it connect? I'm not familiar with it at all. How does it connect to the YouTube stream or the internet?
Just with an Ethernet jack or Wi-Fi. I think it can do Wi-Fi as well. So it's kind of a cool idea because it becomes that computer, and it's designed to be a switcher. You can do like they do in you see in the control room on the football games. And actually, it would be a great choice if you did school sports, and it has some real growth potential. And the nice thing about having HDMI in is you can use any variety of camera sources, and you can use their individual audio too. Come to think of it, so I think that's probably the way I would at least look at that. You could do it in software, but it's always better to do it in hardware. That was the advice I was given when I first started streaming our video. Hardware, do hardware, don't do software. blackmagicdesign.com. It's called the ATEM Mini Pro. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, and you could control it with an iPad or another computer as well, which is kind of nice. Probably you would have to do that to set up the stream. These will stream to, YouTube, Facebook, pretty much anything. There's software that can run an iPad or a computer that can control it, but you also have physical hardware buttons on there. It's got a lot of advanced features too, like the ability to do transitions, chroma keys. You can have green screens. If it's the first step in building a mini production studio, which is kind of cool. So anyway, at $500, it's not cheap, but on the other hand, given what it does, it's incredibly cheap. It's surprisingly cheap.
Yes, sir. The technology's come a long way.
It sure has. Yeah.
The 80s and all that.
If they'd had this when I was just starting out, we might have gone this way instead of with the TriCasters. But TriCaster gives us more capabilities, but are a lot more expensive. I think you want the ATEM Mini Pro 5. It records as well, which is nice. So you can stream it, but you can also record it. If you get a really good Pledge of Allegiance, you can play it back next time. That kind of thing. I hope our caller got his live streaming all together by now. I bet he does. That's very cool. Streaming live video announcements throughout the school. What could possibly go wrong? Best of the Tech Guy continues now from 2022. This was the year that was. Let's talk about cookies, and not the good kind. Marty is on the line from Kalapana, Hawaii. Kalapana, Hawa. Hello, Marty. Which island is Kalapana? Which island is Kalapana on?
On the Big Island.
The Big Island. I'm so jealous. Beautiful. Beautiful. Which side?
The south side of the Big Island.
Is that the wet side?
Yes, the wet, the poor side, whatever you want to call it.
The poor side, wet side, best side. How about we call it the best side?
It is the best.
Let those rich people stay in the dry side. I'm going to the best side.
There you go. So I'm sitting here with the phone next to my head. I hope I'll be okay.
If you're going to go, at least you're going to go in paradise.
Well, hopefully. So here's my question. The many websites you go to have these little messages somewhere about cookies.
Yeah.
And this particular one says this site uses cookies, so now you know. And
that's my site TV. Says that. Yeah.
So
that's me being passive aggressive, by the way.
Casting no aspersions on you. How do I know that when I see these warnings that they aren't put in the browser window by a bad guy, and when you click on accept or
any button you click, if there's a bad guy there, anything you do could be bad. Those, that's a good point. Sites are required by it's not American regulation. It's a European regulation that predates the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation from Europe for privacy. It, in my opinion, the reason I'm passive aggressive about it is it's nonsense. It's nonsense, and the regulators who pass that law in the EU and enforce it are just wasting our time. Every time we go to a website, there's another cookie banner, but you have to do it. The fines are huge. The cookies, what cookies are, same thing, when you're using a program and you save the settings, you have to save settings when you're using software. Otherwise, every time you went to Facebook, you'd have to log in. Otherwise, every time you went to your Gmail, you'd have to log in and tell it what folder you're in and all that stuff. Cookies are your settings. They're saved on your hard drive. They are not inherently bad for you, When they were designed, and they were designed by Mozilla when they first came out with Netscape, they were designed with privacy in mind, believe it or not. The cookies are designed in such a way that only the site that set the cookie can read it. So I go to Starbucks and save my favorite Frappuccino, half-calf, decaf with a twist. Starbucks remembers that, but when I go over to Dunkin', they can't see that Starbucks cookie because it's not theirs. It's Starbucks. So that protects your privacy. But, you know, these sites, they love to spy on you, and they, you know, because advertisers want this information. So sites figured out a way around it with something called third-party cookies. If I go, and you've seen this, if you go to a site that has the Facebook like button, you know, thumbs up, why do you think Facebook did that? They did that because now Facebook is on that page and can set a cookie. Facebook now knows you went to Starbucks. And by the way, if you then go to Dunkin' and there's a Facebook like button, they know you went to Dunkin'. They can read their own cookies. They still can't read the Starbucks or the Dunkin' cookies, but they still know you went to those sites. They can track you around the web.
Facebook knows everything.
And of course, it was Facebook that invented this. But now everywhere you go, there are sign-on cookies from Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, and all of that, because it's just a little bit of code from those websites embedded on the Starbucks site. All of the, and I shouldn't blame Starbucks because, you know, anywhere you see these, all of those are there to track you. So everywhere there's a like button, Facebook knows you've visited that site. So those are called third-party cookies. And those are, obviously, they're a privacy problem. All modern browsers have a switch, block third-party cookies. Unfortunately, the EU decided because of this, all cookies are bad. They're not. They're necessary. And most sites, for instance, my personal website, I use a cookie for one thing only. You can set it to light mode or dark mode. And I, as a convenience to you, the visitor, would like to remember that so next time you visit, it could be in light mode or dark mode. Am I invading your privacy by doing that? No. I'm helping, and I don't have a Facebook button on there or anything else. But I still have to put a banner that says, yeah, I use a cookie. So what I'm at, on that side, the banner says, I use a cookie for your light and dark settings. And then there's a little loophole because you don't have to do anything about it. Just say, okay, I have to let you know I'm using cookies. It is the biggest single waste of time in the world. Billions of clicks a day for no good reason. It does nothing. It saves you nothing. It's just annoyance. And so I'm a little passive aggressive on our website. Yeah, like most other sites, very few sites don't use cookies. We use cookies. I used to, for a while I said, get over it. But then I decided not to be so mean. You don't have to worry. That's not malware. Clicking a button. Look, clicking a button is potentially risky anywhere, but it's not going to do anything. What you want to watch out for is if there were a banner that says, yeah, we use cookies, give me your name, address, phone number, and credit card number, and I'll make sure you don't see this again. That would be a problem because, yeah, you don't know where that came from. And the way the web is designed, it's possible to embed third-party stuff, on the web, and that's bad guys take advantage of that. But do not fear. You are safe. You're certainly safe on my site. It's a good question, though. Why do we see these everywhere?
About your site.
I know, other sites.
I'm worried that some nefarious site will use the same message, but when you click on OK, it will do something worse.
Yeah, nothing. They can't really do anything with OK that they couldn't do without OK. In other words, that OK button is connected to some programming code called JavaScript. That JavaScript can run whether you press OK or not. So if a site's hacked, it's hacked. They don't need a button. You're not giving them permission to do anything. It's fine. If it's hacked, it's hacked. Doesn't matter if there's a button. They can do whatever they want. So do not worry. Click the button if you want. Some sites better than me have a whole lot. They've spent a lot of money on code where you could say what kind of cookies we can use and all that. I'm not required to do it, so I don't. I think that's ridiculous. It's absurd. But I'm really glad you asked. Now you can put the phone down. You don't have to keep it next to your head, but I'm glad you asked, Marty. But no, nothing more harmful clicking the button than if you didn't click the button. That is not a risky thing to do. We should do a countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take off. No, come back. Rod Pyle's here, author of so many great space books like Space 2.0, First Man on the Moon, Interplanetary Robots, Amazing Stories, Blueprint for a Battlestar, editor-in-chief of the Ad Astra magazine. Yeah, this is the Rod Pyle. All the books in a special. We keep it right at hand so I can show you on the radio. Anyway, Rod, it's great to talk to you. I hope you had a wonderful holiday break.
Did, thank you.
In space.
Had an unscheduled visit from a guest we didn't want called COVID, but other than that.
Oh, no. Fine. Are you okay?
Yeah, actually, it was like the mildest cold I've ever had. It was almost nothing.
Well,
God, I am a believer. I know you're a hardcore right winger, but I'm a believer in vaccines.
If you didn't believe in science, I'd have some problems with you, Rod. I don't think you'd be talking about space, to be honest with you.
That booster, man.
Yeah. So you were already boosted and you had a breakthrough, but it didn't knock you down. So that's I'm boosted, but I don't want to, because you don't know. Some people, they get really sick. I don't know.
I know.
I don't want to be that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't go around licking doorknobs, but if it does happen to occur.
That's good to know. I'm glad you're okay. And the family all got it too, huh?
Yeah.
And everybody's fine though.
Youngster, but yeah, everybody's okay. A little harder on my girlfriend's daughter because she hadn't been boosted yet, but still nothing severe, But I know it's sheer luck. I mean, the booster worked, which is great, but it can affect different people differently. So I still wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah. We live in amazing times. I mean,
oh my Lord. I mean, a year they did it.
Yeah. And frankly, anybody who listens to the show is interested in technology. Technology is just applied science. It's just, and we live in, and it's easy to take it for granted, but we live in amazing. Well, I'll give you an example. Christmas Day, they launched a space telescope. Now, the Hubble, which had been up there for a decade, right?
Longer.
Is getting a little long in the tooth. Some amazing science we got out of this. Tell me about the James Webb telescope.
So this is outrageous ambition. And as we've discussed before, this started over 20 years ago as a conversation about a large space telescope. Maybe it'll cost $500 million. It's kind of expensive, but we think we can do it. And, a lot of people talk about the budget creep because it got up to 10 billion, a little over 10 billion by the time it launched. But it's also an entirely different instrument than they were talking about. And you're putting this basketball court size space telescope inside a rocket with a 15 foot by about 28 foot fairing. So everything's got to fold up, as we know. We've been talking about it. We've been hearing about it. So it's about halfway to its target now.
It's going to go to what they call a Lagrange point.
Yeah, Lagrange 2, Sun-Earth Lagrange 2. So it's, as of right now, this very moment, it's 515,616 miles from Earth.
Wow.
So a little over halfway, about 60% to its final destination, which is about 900,000 miles. And it's a weird spot in space. There's a number of these Lagrange points. They are gravitational spots where things conspire to let you maintain a very small orbit, in this case called a halo orbit, which lets you kind of stay in one place. You're orbiting around a spot in space, but it's almost like you have a little planet there, even though there's nothing there. So this is on the far side of the Earth from the sun, well beyond lunar orbit.
The gravitational forces of the Earth and the sun are balanced, so you can kind of just stay there, which is for a telescope ideal.
It's ideal. And unfortunately, it's too far to do an easy servicing mission, which is why, of course, we're so nervous about this deployment.
This thing has to work right the first time.
Right. So we're about a third of the way through the 400 and something different separate activities that have to take place.
All automated, all autonomous, or are they triggered? I mean, are we?
They're triggered.
Okay.
They're triggered.
Okay.
So this is coming up later, what we saw before. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the screen for a second. So they've already lowered.
I can go
both
back to the beginning.
side
You made a great
booms.
video, which we'll post on the website. Thank you for giving me credit in there.
Well, hey, thanks to NASA, you know. So solar boom went out first, which is, of course, necessary for power.
And that's out now.
Then they lowered these two sides.
And this has all worked so far, right? No.
It's all worked so far. And remember, that's just 5 layers of Kapton foil. So it looks substantial, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's like a tissue paper kite, if you remember those horrible things. So that's completed. Then
Aren't
the
they
tower
worried about
was raised.
Meteors or meteorites or comets or?
They've gusseted the thing. Oh, by the way, this is very cool. This is a little, in effect, almost a little solar sail. It's a panel that allows light pressure from the sun and help keep the thing oriented. So this step.
So that's nice. They don't have to use rocket. They don't have to use rocket fuel. They're just using
not as much
little sails, little sun sails in effect.
And then this is the tensioning step, which is what's going to happen tomorrow. And during that, so these are 5 layers of Kapton foil, really thin, all smushed together. As they get tensioned, these little so it's like stretching a sheet,
and these 5 layers kind of go pink, 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 pink with a little stretcher to pull the layers taut. And you know, it's incredible that it has worked on Earth in 1G. Of course, you can't simulate it in 0G. So that's the question. Will everything work perfectly? But
if it doesn't, is it just over? I mean, it's like if anything goes wrong, is it just a piece of space junk?
Well, they've got a variety of techniques, and they learned a lot from the Galileo mission. If you remember Galileo out to Jupiter, that big antenna dish, which is also a deployable mesh, jammed up because it had been stored too long because the debacle with the shuttle Challenger and so forth. So they learned a lot about how to unstick stuck mechanisms. So if something does jam up, they'll do a little bit of flexing and torquing and stuttering with the motors to try and get it unstuck. So there's a lot of things they can do.
Where is
there's
the
nobody
mission,
out there?
Where is the mission being monitored? Is it at JPL or where are they?
I think this one's being monitored out of I mean, part of it's JPL, obviously, because they do all the tracking and so forth. But I don't remember.
There's got to be some people just holding their breath every moment of this. I mean,
not just some, the whole science and engineering team.
Yeah, because now what are we going to get from this? Why are we spending $10 billion to put this out there?
Good question. It's 3 times the diameter, almost 3 times the diameter of the Hubble.
A bigger mirror means you gather more light, more information.
You're gathering a lot more light, which is why it had to be in separate cells. Now, let's bear in mind, if we had the Starship flying, space as a Starship, you could launch something almost this big in one piece and practically build it out of lead. You know, it wouldn't have to be this light, fragile thing, but we're not there yet. We're using smaller rockets. But what this telescope is so special about it is it can see in the infrared. So Hubble has some infrared capability, but this has extreme infrared capability because it cools way down. The differential is close to 600 degrees between the hot side and the cold side of those sun shields. And in the infrared, you can look way further back in time, way further into the universe. We're talking 200 to 300 million years after the Big Bang. So when the first stars are still forming, when the first galaxies are first forming. So you're really looking at the very beginning of time. Infrared lets you look past all the dust and all the junk that's out there between us and those things, billions and billions and billions of miles away. So that's the big thing.
We always, when I was a kid, thought if you could just get a good enough telescope and send it far enough away, you could look back on the Earth and you could see Jesus being born, and you could see. But this is in effect kind of what we're doing. We're looking into.
We're just doing it the other direction. Yeah.
Billions of years in the past, the very beginning of the universe. I mean, it's unbelievable, and that's just part of what the James Webb is going to be.
Yeah, it also will actually be able to measure atmospheres of exoplanets.
So it's going to look for other Earth-like planets, maybe even pictures of aliens. It's time for the camera guy, Chris Marquardt. He's our photo sensei at SENSEI, sensei.photo. Joins us every week to help us take better pictures. Hello, Chris.
Hello. How's it going?
It's going great. And I'm glad we do this every once in a while. We talk about apps for your camera phone. There's some really good stuff out there.
I was out today, or we were out today, and Monica brought her camera, like the proper camera, and then we realized that the iPhone is so much more versatile in so many respects. So I looked at some smartphone apps.
You didn't put away the fancy camera and use your phone, did you?
Well, she did. I only brought my phone. She brought her camera and she put it away in the middle.
No, you beat me. That's really true these days.
She didn't have a wide angle, but she needed one, so it's in the iPhone, right? So it's simple. So
did she borrow? Did she borrow your phone?
No, she has her own phone. So we ended up. I ended up looking at some apps some for iOS, some for multiple platforms. So that I've used every now and then, and one that I used all day today was Argentum, which is an iOS app.
Yeah.
And I think I've recommended that before.
You have, and I love it. I love it.
It's a black and white camera, and there's like one of those filters that you can enable is free, and I love the AA filter, which is the Ansel Adams filter. It gives you this gritty black and white with amazing contrasts. So for landscapes, Argentum is.
It's also nice when you're running this app because you can only see black and white. And so, which I love, but sometimes when you're shooting color, it's hard to visualize what the black and white would look like. So you just fire up Argentum, and now you're seeing everything in black and white. And it has filters so you can have Ansel Adams style black and white, but there's other styles too. Yeah.
There are other styles, but that's the one. That's my go-to. It's just
you can't do better than that.
It's this lovely thing with contrasts.
ARGENTUM. I think it's iPhone only, but yeah.
That's iPhone only. Yeah. The next one is a multi-platform. Actually, lots of platforms. It's a strange animal. It's called Polar, POLARR. And it's a subscription, so watch out. You'll have to continuously pay for that.
It doesn't even have a web app. I feel like it has a web app as well.
It runs on the web. It runs on Android. It runs on iOS. It runs on, I think, at least a couple more platforms. It has a lot of like AI supported features like selective masks. You can select the sky or a person on the background or vegetation or buildings and things. Has a lot of good retouching features.
So this is good for people with Chromebooks that can't run an app. They can use the Chromebook to do this. Yeah. Yeah. Is it like, is it comparable to something like Photoshop? Probably not as powerful.
No. It doesn't even target the same kind of audience. It tries to make things very simple by helping you with making selections and these kind of things. So there's a lot of AI in the background. The third one I want to talk about is just out for the iPhone. It used to be on the iPad, but now it's on the iPhone. Pixelmator Photo.
This is such a good app.
Yeah, I think they have a discount right now. I think I paid €3.99, so it's in the lower range. And they have a whole bunch of interesting things in there, including, like, of course, they have machine learning in there. So you can choose to have certain aspects of your photo, the colors or other things kind of automatically handled. But you can also save all the settings that you put in there as your own filters. So you can recall individual filters, and it lets you save workflows. So you could have a workflow that you want to apply to multiple pictures, like applying a preset and then automatically cropping it and rotating and scaling and exporting to JPEG. And that is all built in there, and it's available on the iPhone now.
We had a caller who was having trouble with his Lightroom Classic and his iPhone images. Come to think of it, these days, you might just use apps on your iPhone instead of trying to move it over to a computer. I mean, Pixelmator Photo is pretty much everything you'd want, I think.
It even has professional features like native RAW editing. So if you have an app that shoots RAW, then you can edit them in there straight away. It supports the Apple Pro RAW format and that kind of stuff. And it integrates nicely with your Photos app. So you if you save something, you can always revert back to the original photo and so on.
Yeah,
so it's pretty cool.
It also can delete stuff, hide stuff that you don't want to see, like people in your pictures and stuff. That's really helpful.
Oh yeah, this was just scratching the surface. That thing goes deep.
Yeah.
Another one that goes very deep is an old friend that I've been using for. It's a classic. It's Snapseed. Snapseed is how would you describe Snapseed? It does everything pretty much. I mean, from tuning images to I just have it here in front of me to more advanced things like curve adjustments, or you can change the perspective on things, or have a healing brush. There's retro filters, vintage stuff. You can like grunge up photos. There's also nice black and white treatments in there. If you have a portrait, you can even change the head pose, so you can move head around. Yeah, you can move someone who's looking to the right and have them look straight at you if you want.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that. So it's come a long way. I mean, for a long time, I just thought of Hipstamatic as a filter system, so you make your photos look old. But it's more than that now.
Well, that one was Snapseed. The next one is Hipstamatic, but not the and that's the last one on the list. Not the.
I got out of order. You were talking about Snapseed. I'm sorry.
I was talking about Snapseed.
This when you said oldie but goodie, I immediately went to Hipstamatic. Yeah,
no. Snapseed has been around for years as well.
You're right.
But Hipstamatic has this one side branch, and it's called Hipstamatic Tintype. Have you ever had your portrait? Have you ever had a Tintype portrait taken of yourself?
No.
Now,
because that's like from 1890.
Older. This is 1850s technology.
1850s. Wow.
And these tintypes have a really specific look, and they have a specific depth of field and the way they treat the contrast. It's really amazing looking. And Hipstamatic Tintype simulates that in a fairly convincing way. And it you can change like how it goes out of focus to the side. And get Hipstamatic Tintype, take a selfie, and then you'll see what it can do.
So it's a separate app from Hipstamatic. It's one called Tintype. Okay.
It's nice. Hipstamatic Tintype. Yep. And it's a separate app. It's an iOS, unfortunately iOS only, but just play with it. You'll thank me for it.
Yeah. Wow. Make everybody look like they're in the cowboy days. Wow, how fun!
If you wear the proper period clothing, then that might be really convincing. Yeah. So that's 5 apps for you.
5 great apps. Which it's funny because one of the premises of you coming on is to make people want to take more pictures, and those apps make me want to take pictures. I want to go out and take tintypes of everybody, and how fun is that? So that's only 99 cents, the Tintype app. So just got my buck. They just got my dollar. If you want, we'll put a link to all of these up on our show notes at techguylabs.com. So you don't have to scribble and write everything down. I should have probably told you that ahead of time. And of course, if you want to follow Chris Marquardt and his photography, best to go to his site, sensei.photo, SENSEI.photo, or to his podcast, Tips from the Top Floor, which is an excellent photography podcast, longest running photography podcast out there, TFTTF.com. Of course, one of the things that makes the Tech Guy so fun is our contributors like Rod Pyle. This Week in Space continues on the TWiT network. I hope you'll listen at twit.tv/twist. And of course, the great Chris Marquardt. He's promised to stop by from time to time for the Ask the Tech Guy show. I'm very glad because I've known him really since the very beginning of my podcasting career, and his too. He still does the longest running photo podcast, I think, anywhere, Tips from the Top Floor. All right, on we go with the best of 2022. By the way, there'll be more Chris Marquardt coming up in just a little bit, but first, this is pretty dated. I'm not sure you want to take this advice anymore. Getting started with NFTs. What could possibly go wrong? On the line, Neil from Santa Monica, California. Hi, Neil.
Oh, yes. Hi, how you doing? I love your show. I like to listen to it every week to remind myself how illiterate I am.
I thought you were going to say how horrible Windows is, but okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Well, either way, I have a PC, yes. But anyway, I'm having problems with NFTs, okay?
Okay.
Okay, I'm author of the book, The Conscious Planet. I'm journalist for JetSettingMagazine.com.
Oh, neat.
And I'm a nationally published fine artist. Okay?
Awesome.
Now, I have created a series of NFTs. However, I'm having so many problems trying to have them published. I joined Crypto.com, and when I joined Crypto.com, I got through, and I got to the point, I'm registered in, and I got to the point where it says create. And then I assumed that all I do is cut and paste a JPEG or a file, either from my iPhone.
It's much more complicated than that.
Okay.
I would suggest going to OpenSea, OPENSEA.
Okay, OPENS.
EA. OpenSea is the number one place, OpenSea.io, the number one place for creating NFTs.
Okay.
Almost all NFTs go through OpenSea. So, yeah, I would start with them, and I think it's a little easier to follow the steps. What you're going to have to do when you create an NFT is you actually put it on the blockchain, and you don't put the image on the blockchain. You put the URL to the image on the blockchain, and so it's kind of a complicated idea. And so, if you want to create an NFT, I would suggest doing it through OpenSea, and it's a little bit more. The step by step is a little bit more straightforward.
Okay.
However, before we go much further, you wrote a book called The Conscious Planet.
Well, let me explain that. Let me explain that. Yes, I illustrated the cover of the book.
The book, that leopard on the cover is gorgeous, Neil. It's beautiful. You're a great, talented artist. But let me just ask you: is part of your vision of sustainability in energy use? Because one of the problems with NFTs, it's the same problem with all cryptocurrencies, is they are vastly energy inefficient. Huge amounts of energy have to be used.
I've heard that, but I heard that through the advancement of technology that it will take less energy.
Hasn't happened yet. All the Bitcoin, look, I have a very skeptical take on NFTs and crypto. So just so you know ahead of time, my attitude towards this is that the people promoting this are the ones who are going to make the money on this. For instance, one of the first things you're going to experience when creating the NFT is something called gas fees, which is the money that goes to the creators of the NFT and the miners who are going to create the proof of work that puts you on the blockchain. And all of that money, they're going to pocket, and I can almost promise you, as dollars. And you may make money on your NFT, but most of the time, the people who buy NFTs buy it as speculative. There's two reasons somebody might buy Neil's NFT, because they love your art and they want to support you. If you want to do that, create a Patreon. Just say, give me money.
What is it, a Patreon?
Patreon is a place a lot of creators go to say, hey, you like my work? Donate, and I will give you access to special editions or whatever, or sell your work. And NFT is primarily about speculation. So there's two reasons people will buy your NFT. One, to help you, but it's not a great way because of gas fees. A lot of the money they spend does not go in your pocket. It goes in the pocket of OpenSea and the people who are behind this. If you go to Patreon, they take a 4 or 5%, but you're still going to get most of it. The other thing, the other people who buy your NFTs, the vast majority are not doing it to support you, but because they're speculators. They think that it's going to be worth more down the road. Now, that can benefit you because when you create an NFT, you can build in, and you will, I want 20% or some percentage of all future sales. So as it goes up, you will make money on it. So in a way, you become one of the speculators. And in my opinion, most NFT creators are pure speculators. Look at the Bored Apes. That's not great art.
I've seen that.
That's somebody who wants to make money. And like any pyramid scheme, the requirement is more suckers. You don't ever want to be the last person to buy an NFT, because that's money at the door. You want to be the second to last person. Right? You want to be the guy who sold it on at a greatly inflated value. So my opinion of all of this is it is a con. It's a pyramid scheme. Now, if you want to do it through OpenSea. We have a hands-on photography episode. Ant Pruitt did an NFT, does a couple. He's a great photographer. He explained it. Episode 103. Jose on the line. Our next caller, Modesto, California. Hello, Jose.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome.
Yeah, I have a quick question. I'm about to get the YubiKey. And before I do, I want to ask you, if I do get it, how will I sign in to services like Google, YouTube, whatever, using devices like Roku?
Yeah, let me explain how this all works, because I use one and I'm a big fan of it. It's called the YubiKey, YUBIKEY. It's from a company called Yubico, YUBICO. And it's one of, there are many companies that make these. Google even sells their own keys. They're called the Titan security keys. The YubiKey is a little device. You can keep it on your, so little you can keep it on your keychain. And the idea is it plugs into the USB port. And to the computer, it appears to be a keyboard. So every computer will recognize, and the world will recognize it, because they just say, oh, here's a USB keyboard. In fact, sometimes when you use it on some devices, they pop up a little screen saying, what's that keyboard you're plugging in? You just cancel that out. Then it has buttons on it, or a one or two, mine has two, that you press, and it will spit out a very long 20 or 30 character string of letters. But there's a processor in the YubiKey. So those letters change every 30 seconds, just like your Google Authenticator does. So it's basically a one-time authenticator, time-based, TOTP we call it, time-based authentication. And that time-based authentication is tied to that key. So unlike, say, a Google Authenticator, maybe somebody steals your phone and figure that out or whatever, this thing, they'd have to have this little key. Now, there's a couple of things you should know about it. First of all, your question is, how do I use it? Not everybody supports it. So Twitter does, Facebook does, all the password managers do, and that's actually the main reason you'd want to use this, because your password manager is like the most important thing of all, right? You don't want anybody to get into that. So this is what we call two-factor authentication. You still need your password and login. That's one factor, something you know. The other factor is either something you are by biometrics like your fingerprint or your iris or your face recognition, or something you have like a physical device like your phone or a YubiKey. So the YubiKey fits into that something you have category as a second factor of authentication. The nice thing is only you have it. So a bad guy trying to get into your password account or your bank account might even know your password. But they don't have this special authentication key. YubiKey can be used for a whole lot more than just that. But that's the initial use for it as a TOTP or time-based one-time password authentication. Not everybody supports it. Oh, the other thing you really need to know is you don't ever just buy one. You got to have two. One you can keep with you, keep on your keychain or whatever. I keep it on my keychain. But the other one you want to keep somewhere safe in case you lose the first one. And wherever you can use a YubiKey or a hardware authentication device, you can usually register multiple of them. So when you first go to Twitter and you say, yeah, I want to use a hardware authenticator, you can add two. Make sure you add two and keep that second one safe. I actually always buy three because if you lose this, it's really tough to recover it, as it should be. Right? As it should be. So this is the black diamond tip. So the first thing everybody ought to do, we hear from people all the time, my Facebook account got hacked, my Instagram hacked. First thing you should do is turn on two-factor authentication on everywhere that lets you. Banks, password managers, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, anywhere that allows you to have two-factor, turn it on. Get used to that. You can use just Google Authenticator, the software, or Authy, which is the one I use, AUTHY. That's from a company called Twilio. They're both free. If you want a little slightly better protection, then you can use a physical authentication key, which is even harder for a bad guy to spoof, obviously. Google has a high-end, extra secure system for Gmail users. They started this after the Russians hacked the Democratic National Committee, John Podesta's account, email account, and of course all those emails leaked out. And it was because John Podesta was only using a login and a password, in fact, not a very good password. Had he been using two-factor, probably would have never been cracked. Google realized, well, we need stronger security for people who are targets. We can't just rely on a password and authentication. So they have something called the Advanced Protection Program. And the way it works, you get 2 hardware authentication keys. They're from Google. They call them the Titan keys. And and they also turn off some features that you might want. And it's not intended for you and me. It's intended for politicians, public figures, people who might be more likely to be attacked. Activists, journalists in conflict zones, that kind of thing. And good on Google for doing it. I'm not recommending advanced protection. I turned it on, and even I found it a little onerous. It was a little hard. It was a little much, and I don't think I'm that targeted. I'm happy to just use two-factor, but I should say every one of you should be using two-factor. So I'm glad you asked about it, Jose. If you want, YubiKeys are not cheap. They're $50, $60 each. But if you want the added protection of two-factor, and it's not just a little authentication application running on your phone, but it's an authenticator on your keychain or in your pocket. And there's an extra burden there. You can't lose it. That's why you get 2. Keep one at home or in your safe deposit box. It's time to talk photography with Chris Marquardt, my personal photo sensei at sensei.photo, SENSEAI.photo. Hello, Chris. Good to see you.
Hello. I'm not sure we're going to talk about photography today, though.
Images instead.
Well, images instead. So here's the thing. There's this whole new breed of computer systems coming out right now that is, we call them art generators or image generators. The one that's been fairly viral so far is called DALL-E. By OpenAI, and those are systems that you give a prompt, you put some text in, ask it what kind of picture you want, and it spits out the picture.
It's a little eerie. You've probably seen them on Twitter. If you look around, you'll see a lot of DALL-E, DALL-E pictures. They're a little eerie, but it's still eerie. Cool.
It's eerie from a few perspectives because, I mean, some of those pictures, especially when you create faces of people, might look a bit weird. But then it's also eerie in a way that it is probably going to replace a few people over time because it can do the job of, let's say, it's probably a bit of a threat for stock photography, at least a certain kind of that. But still, I mean, I'm having a lot of fun playing with the system. And it's in beta right now, so but it is accessible. You can create pictures, and you can actually use them now. Let's just dive right in. So the things that you can do with it are really interesting because it allows you to, do things that would be hard to photograph. For example, really absurd stuff here.
What is this?
I have an example of it's a steak. It's a steak with a cold grill, so it has icicles hanging off of it, just coming from the fire.
So you give it a text prompt, and it generates an image based on it. What the text prompt was? A steak with
the text prompt for this was a steak over hot coal with icicles hanging off of it. And it took me a few tries to get to that example, to get to that result, but it is hysterical. This is what came out. It doesn't always really understand what you want, so I tried to make a Totoro mugshot, which resulted in a whole bunch of different Totoro-shaped mugs. So it did not really do what I wanted, but look at those materials, look at those surfaces. That is.
Well, it looks like they really exist. It looks like they really exist, and that's what's a little scary about this, because they didn't. They exist only in the mind of a computer.
The other thing you can see on this picture is that DALL-E is really bad with text. So it tried to put Totoro on the mugs on some of them, and Toronto, it just doesn't do text well. So that's an easy way to spot some of those. But you can also go artsy, to paintings, to drawings, and these kind of things. This is an example of a girl holding an umbrella standing in front of some cityscape, which I'm happy with that result. Again, took a couple of tries. You have to iterate. You have to reprogram your brain a bit as a visual artist. I personally, I like to see what's there and let myself be influenced from that. Now I have to spell things out. I have to build prompts that are very descriptive and that get me to where I want, and it takes iterations. It's not like typically not a one-shot thing.
Can you modify an existing one? Can you say, okay, that's good, but can you change the height of the buildings, or do you have to start from scratch each time?
Not even in that detail, but what you would do is you would create it creates 4 every time you put a prompt in. It creates 4 different ones or slightly different ones, and then you end up with a you could just modify the prompt and say, oh, wait, this didn't come out exactly the way I wanted, so I will massage the prompt a bit to try something new. That's the iteration. Sometimes it takes 2 tries, 3 tries, 5 tries, 10 tries, and so on. So
I've seen some amazing things from this, though.
Yeah.
There's a guy who has a new startup who created his logo using DALL-E.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would totally do this. If you ever wondered what bacon and eggs look like when it came from a Michelin star restaurant, this is what
it's pretty close.
This looks quite convincing. I asked it to create a magazine cover for a magazine that talks about alien vegetables, and what you see here, it looks like it came from another planet.
It's interesting for a few reasons. I mean, you're getting interesting images that are fun to play with and look at, but it also kind of is, you almost feel like a view into the mind of the computer, like how it's interpreting what you're saying. It's very good. I mean, these are fairly advanced technologies. They're using something called GAN, generative what is it? Adversarial networks.
Adversarial networks.
So you give it different learning data sets and they fight, sort of. What is that? Yeah. That's a burger. Oh my God!
That was a burger from a burger ad set in 1965.
And it looks, it's got the 60s colors.
Nailed the style, right?
The orange.
Nailed the style.
Yeah. This next one's kind of more nightmarish.
Well, nightmarish in a way, but then also I gave it a fantasy kind of name. I called this thing the Twobblegob, and I asked it to make a Twobblegob for me.
That's all you said is Twobblegob, and it got something.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and it got something.
It looks like a Twobblegob.
Doesn't it? Or the Terminator tortoise. Oh, there you are. That's
very good.
It's scary. Just imagine that out on your lawn.
Interesting and puzzling to me is that somehow it understands when you say Terminator that there are things that looks that come from that movie, and it knows a tortoise. Okay, this is what a tortoise looks like, but somehow it applies the one to the other, and it works. It's not just like you glue a Terminator arm onto a turtle. Whoa, who's this? This is a person.
And well, that's a person. That's a portrait of a person. A very, very artsy, stylized kind of black and white thing. Took me about half an hour to get the prompt.
But this person never existed.
It does these things.
There's no human.
Person never existed.
This looks like a real human with a story. Fascinating. Yes. You'd be happy to have this in your portfolio.
This is art. I mean, it does. You can get it to a point where it does things that I would consider art.
It's remarkable.
Yes. Also scary.
Yeah.
Also a bit scary.
Yeah. An eye into the mind, if you can call it that, of computers. We're not saying they're sentient. They're not thinking.
I did one of you. A cubit.
I like that.
Painting of Laporte.
Did you give it a picture of me at some point? No.
No, it didn't.
But
didn't.
it knew.
I asked for a guy in front of a microphone.
Oh, but it does look like me.
A cubist painting.
I must be
kind of look like
the
you.
Prototypical guy in front of a microphone.
It took me a few tries, and I picked the right one. So that is cherry picked for sure.
So you can apply to get to use DALL-E, and beware, it's one of those things you start doing it, and hours later you go, "What time is it?" But you do have to. It's a waiting list. You do have to get in. Just search for DALL-E. Creating images from text from OpenAI.com. A 12 billion parameter version of GPT-3 trained to generate images from text descriptions using a data set of text-image pairs, which works, I'm sure they think, better than they really could have ever imagined. Boy, Chris was prophetic. This DALL-E 2 was just the beginning of what has become a huge revolution in AI art. Pretty darned amazing. All right, back we go with the best of 2022. I wish I had a good question for our next segment. Something we could answer.
Hey, Leo.
It's TV's Micah Sargent.
How you doing?
Hi, Micah.
Hi. I got a question for you.
Oh, good. I was running out.
Well, it's one they ask all the time. My Instagram has been hacked. What do I do?
Let's go to the tape. Oh, I got to turn this button.
Nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you. Thanks for calling.
First of all, thank you very much for all that you do in trying to keep the old computer user group, alive. I have
very fond, of course, I'm an old timer too, very fond memories of computer user groups in the earliest days of technology. That's, the only way you could figure out how to use things and do things. Apple was introduced at the Homebrew Computer Club, in San Jose, and I used to go to the Berkeley Macintosh Users Group, BMUG, and
BMUG, wonderful.
It was fun. You'd have these monthly meetings, be 100 people there. They'd talk about stuff. You'd have speakers. You'd have a Q&A session. It's kind of, I think of this as a user group on the radio.
And that's why I'm thanking you for that.
Well, you're welcome.
That's where I would go to get the answers to problems.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd stand up. It'd say, it's question time. You'd stand up and say, my IRQ, I got a problem with my IRQs. My printer won't talk when my modem's on. And then people would help you with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great time.
Those were the days.
So I have two questions, but the most important one is the one for my friend that is a dear friend. And she's had a business that she's been trying to build up over the last 10 years. And it's a decorating business. She uses Instagram to show her items that she does. And she's been struggling for 10 years. And then in the last 2 months, she had a video, a reel that she had go viral. She had about 500,000 views.
Holy cow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was great. She finally gained up to 13,000 followers.
Wonderful.
So it was. And in doing this, she's been getting more attention.
Yeah. That's the downside of the internet.
Attention of the hackers, yeah.
Yeah.
So she has normally, over the last 10 years with Instagram, been getting people to come and ask about her business and request information, and they would send her links to their own Instagram photos of how they might want their wedding or their birthday party to be done.
Oh, nice.
So January 11th at 7:18 in the morning, she had a link from somebody that she had a conversation with the month before, and she clicked on it and instantly lost access to her account.
Oh.
They then went on and changed the password and changed the email address.
Oh, my God. How frustrating. She got played.
She got played, and that was terribly devastating for her.
Yeah.
She spent 10 years climbing this mountain to get to where she finally started getting some users. And
well, I don't want to be a finger-wagging nanny, so I won't. But this is a cautionary tale for anybody who's building a business on a social platform. Take every effort, to protect it, including if she had used two-factor authentication, for instance, she probably wouldn't have lost.
She didn't even know about it.
She didn't even know it existed, yeah.
Didn't know it existed.
It's like opening a store downtown and forgetting to lock the door. You know, we all understand door locks, but we don't understand security in the internet yet. And I'm so sorry that happened. She should be able to call Instagram or call. There's nobody at the phone, but she should be able to contact Instagram and recover it. My concern is, how did she?
Who do you contact?
Well, if you if you look in Instagram, you might have to help her. I don't know if she's completely lost access to Instagram, but if you actually, you could Google Instagram recover account, and it would give you the stuff you need to know. It happens. It happens on Facebook. It happens on Instagram. It happens quite a bit. Please turn on two-factor. My other concern, the Instagram Help Center is at help.instagram.com. And there's even one. I think my Instagram account has been hacked. So she can go through that process. One of the things that's important is that she associates her phone number with it. So that they can send her an authentication code. I'm sure the bad guys, once they got access to the account, changed all that. But Instagram has her previous phone number, so and so they can then send her a link to verify that she owned it, and they go, yeah, it was stolen. Here it is. Make sure you get her to turn on two-factor. I'm a little concerned.
She's on everything else right now.
Yeah, you learn, don't you? You learn.
Yeah.
You learn.
Yeah. Hard
Instagram, my wife says her Instagram was hacked too. Somebody turned on two-factor without her knowledge. I think Instagram security maybe lacks. I have a big question mark over my head, if you can imagine that, over how just clicking a link gave them access to her Instagram. Was it on a phone?
Yes.
On an iPhone or Android?
It was on an iPhone 13.
So I'm really confused about how you shouldn't be able to do that on an iPhone. Her story may not have holes, but there may be more to it than meets the eye. Simply clicking a link. Well, you shouldn't do that. You got to be careful. But that should not, with just that action, relinquish your Instagram account. There's more to that story somewhere. So you might ask her about that. Yeah, that's a little. I mean, it shouldn't be possible to click a link and lose your.
It's bizarre to me as well.
Yeah.
I was there when she actually clicked on it, and it just.
Oh, you saw it happen.
Yeah, it shut her out of her Instagram account, and then she started getting email notifications that the password changed, that the email address changed, and that the phone number changed. And the phone number changed to one that looks like it comes from Nigeria.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's probably where it may or may not be where the scammer is. I mean,
yeah.
They can get a phone number anywhere. Yeah. I'm looking. Instagram spam. Do not click the link. It will hack your account. Gosh, that's terrible security. If that's the case, there's a YouTube video on how this happens. And she didn't. When she clicked the link, it didn't take her to an Instagram page and then say, log in. It just took it over.
No.
Wow.
Correct.
Honestly, that's a terrible flaw in Instagram. That should not be possible. I'm watching this YouTube video that says, Instagram, do not click the link. It will hack your account. It also has in that video how to fix it. So I'll put a link in the show notes. But if you Google Instagram spam, do not click the link on YouTube, you'll be able to find that video. And I'm just
very helpful.
I just found it. I don't know if it actually is useful, but I'm just curious to understand how it happened, to be honest. So I was just looking for Instagram one-click hacks, and that's where I found that. So, boy, that just really seems, to me, like, boy.
Very scary.
The flaws, for sure, in Instagram. If that's possible, it's terrible. And maybe it is. So what's the answer to this? Well, you be very careful about the links you click.
Yes.
Anywhere.
But I've educated her on that.
Yeah.
Even though she's had conversation with this person, it was clear that what they've done is they
Scammers are very patient. They, these guys will take their time. And of course, they're not going to scam you until you have something of value. And so she built something of value. So now they've. As soon as you get over 10,000 views, I'm sure that you start getting these. I'm so sorry. There is in the Instagram Help Center. There is a whole page. We just put a link in our show notes. I think my Instagram account has been hacked. What to do? And there's a lot of stuff you can do. It may be that there is a third-party app that she gave access to. She should, once she gets it back, she should turn off all third-party apps in her Instagram. Same for Twitter and Facebook. The bad guys are out there. In fact, this has become, the #1 pastime in the world is gaming the system. And I'm sad to say that's a problem.
Yeah.
I'm sorry it's happened to you, Richard, but welcome to the user group.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
That's why I really appreciate all you do for us people out here that are still looking for user group kinds of support.
Yeah, we just kind of have to do it for ourselves still, Good luck getting help from Google or Instagram or Facebook because they're just so big. We just have to do it for ourselves.
In that regard, what's the IRC chat room that I can...
You can do it in a web browser. And they're very helpful too. irc.twit.tv.
Okay. That way I don't have to wait until the weekend to be able to...
They're great, yeah. That's the Team Tech guy. He's been everywhere, man. He's Johnny Jet, our travel guru. Travel better with technology. Enjoying is it 88 degrees? Did I read that correctly in Southern California?
It's 88 right now.
Looking
at my watch.
88?
Yeah. It's been like that all week. So we've gone to the beach multiple times, take a couple hours out, and it's better than summer because there's hardly anyone on the beach. And
any volleyball? You playing any volleyball, or is it too early?
My friends were not playing yesterday. I went down and they weren't there. They played on Wednesday, but
Johnny's part of the big Huntington Beach pickup league, right?
Manhattan Beach.
Manhattan Beach. Okay.
That's the home of beach volleyball.
Oh, it's awesome! It's so awesome.
And it's where they have the Wimbledon of beach volleyball every August.
No, really, I didn't know that. Oh.
That's the biggest tournament. Yeah. Oh. Manhattan Beach. If you win it, you get your name on the pier. So you walk down the Manhattan Beach pier, you'll see all the plaques of all the players who've won it.
Forget the Winter Olympics. I'm going to the Summer Olympics in Manhattan Beach. So, Johnny, I think travel is it's a funny thing. I feel it in my bones that people are just done. Whether COVID's done with us, we're done with it.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
And the mask mandates are being lifted and people are getting out and about. And, of course, the first thing a lot of us want to do is hit the road, Jack.
Well, my mother-in-law is super cautious. I mean, we're very cautious, but my mother-in-law is even more. And my wife told me today that she just told her that we're going to Hawaii soon. And I said, oh boy, what did she say? And she said, you know what? It's about time. It's time to get out. And I
think we've discovered that A, masks work, and B, the vaccines work. So we kind of know how to do all the things that we want to do and do it safely.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely. And you know what? The numbers are starting to show it. Yesterday, the TSA screened 1.9 million through, and 2 years ago on the same day, pre-pandemic, 1.6. So,
wow.
Although
it's up, but that's what you'd expect. Pent up demand, right?
It is. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that. It will go up and down, and hopefully no more variants will come out. But a lot of things are happening. Australia, after 2 years, just announced they're opening up. It's coming. The Hawaii is dropping the booster requirement because they've realized they're losing a lot of business, especially to Florida and California. And Frontier and Spirit actually this week announced that they're going to merge.
They're merging. Now, those are the low-cost airlines.
Yep.
So you got to be careful with them because the plane ticket's inexpensive, but you might be paying for carry-on or...
I do not recommend flying in either one. And full disclosure, I've never flown in either one. I bought a ticket on Spirit once for like $15, and then when I went to check in, they wouldn't even let me take my bag. So I was like, forget it. I rented a car while I was in Florida. But they're great for some people. So just make sure that you know what you're getting into.
Exactly. And, exactly. Do you think as a merged airline, they're not going to change anything? They'll both be this.
Well, they think they're going to fly under one airline, most likely Frontier. The worst thing they're going to do is take away, I hope they don't, but they're going to take away Spirit's big, fat front first class seat. Can you hear my daughter?
Yeah. You want to run and get her?
No, I do have a lollipop here for her. I think that will quiet her down. I gave her an iPad, which she only gets when we're on the airplane.
Oh.
It's a special treat. Look, Olivia, come here.
Come here, Olivia.
She saw it now. She's okay.
She has the lollipop. She says, I don't need you. I don't need you anymore.
You can sit right here. Yeah, so my wife had to go out with my...
No, that's fine. We love family. No, that's great. Are you going to take the kids anywhere? Uh-oh, I think Livia unplugged the internet connection because Johnny just froze solid. Uh-oh. The young lady had, I've seen this happen with many of our hosts, not just kids.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back now. Yeah. What happened?
She pulled my cord.
I knew she did. I knew it. I knew exactly what happened.
And I gave her the iPad, and she's trying to get me to figure it out what's wrong. The lock went on.
Oh, yeah. Unlock the
Anyway,
screen.
so Spirit Airlines has a first-class seat that Frontier doesn't. And most people think they're going to get rid of it, which is a shame because that was a really good deal. And as long as you don't check bags on Spirit, I've heard good things. And if you know what you're getting into, But they are going to create the 5th largest airline in the U.S., and I have no desire to fly it.
Yeah.
Because you don't get miles.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons. But anyway.
So travel is back. I saw somebody's Instagram post. They got on a cruise ship and there were only 150 people on a boat built for 1,500.
Wow.
I get they probably had a really nice trip, but
you can't get better than that.
No, that's pretty good.
I mean, that's like renting out your own ship. I mean, first of all, on those huge ships, there are areas of the ship where you are alone anyway, even when it's full.
They're really big. That's right.
They really are.
Yeah.
But so if you are traveling internationally, I do have a website for everyone. It's real basic, but whatplug.info.
What plug? Oh, I need this. People call me all the time saying, I'm going to Bulgaria. What do they use? What do they use in Bulgaria?
All you do is answer 2 questions. You just say, where are you coming from and where are you going? And it just shows you what you need. I always travel with a universal, adapter, but I also carry local ones as well as a backup. And I wrote a post about it. And, I talked about my wife, she's blown out her hair curling iron or flat, whatever they call it.
Oh, yeah.
Flat iron.
Those you can really cause damage with.
Yeah. So you got to make sure that if you're
by the way,
it's
oneplug.info, folks. Oneplug.info. So.
I think you need a transformer for when you're using a hair, like a flat iron or something like that.
Yes, you do. Yes.
But you don't need it for your laptop, correct? Yes. I've never had a problem with my laptop.
No, but again, this is, it's a little tricky. You have to look at somewhere on the power supply, they'll be printed what voltages it supports. And the problem is in the U.S., we use AC 110. And as you travel around the world, not only is it a plug issue, but there's also a voltage issue. And they'll often use 220. But laptops, because they're selling them all over the world, most of the time on the power brick, it'll say 110-240, which is the range of voltage it can handle. So make sure that.
Have you ever had one blow on you?
Lisa and we took a trip. I had brought with me an adapter. Maybe it was something that was, unbeknownst to me, 110 only. I blew out a succession of places. We blew out the hotel in Venice. Lights are out. I had to call down.
Whole hotel?
Yeah, at least our floor. We were saying the electrician. It was an old monastery in Venice. Okay, so then, not learning, I got on the boat, blew out the cabin.
Oh my God!
So I should have realized. Then we got to, I think it was it was Istanbul. Blew out that hotel.
Yeah, these old hotels, you really got to be careful.
I finally figured out, why am I plugging this thing in? So you would think, there's a variety of things that can happen if you have the wrong voltage. I didn't think it would be blowing out the hotel, but I guess I would think it would have overheated and blown out the device. But I guess, anyway, yes, make sure you have not only the right plug, whatplug.info, but the right voltage. Very important.
Definitely. It reminds me of that movie with Ashton Kutcher when he was in Switzerland on a honeymoon. Did you see that?
No, but I've lived
20
it.
years ago. Oh my God.
I've lived it.
I'll have to find it. It was a funny scene. Anyway, so that's important when you travel internationally. And I also, when I travel internationally, I always carry a small power strip because there are places where there might only be one plug.
But again, make sure it's also rated.
Yes.
I think it was a power strip that I was using that blew everything out.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So on the power strip, it will say.
Make sure it can handle what you want, 110-240, which means it'll handle the entire range it's going to see. There's also the issue of 50 hertz or 60 hertz. That doesn't usually matter much unless there's a clock involved.
And how about on a cruise ship? Because I've plugged those power strips in on cruise ships because
many cruise ships are now have the same plugs as the U.S.
Correct.
And they're appropriate voltage. Like I said,
not in the past.
This cruise ship, I did manage to blow out the cabin. They're very nice about it. It must happen all the time. It's a fuse. They reset it.
Right.
Johnny, have you hit the road yet?
We are. Actually, we've been packing right now. We're getting ready to go hit the road.
Packing? Are you going to Mandalay?
Well, you'll see. I can't tell you. Next week, I'll call in
with Hope and Crosby on the road to somewhere. Well, that's nice. It's nice. It feels good, doesn't it?
It really does. I was just talking about it with my wife. Like we have not done this in where we're getting on a plane in over 6 months.
And it's with trepidation, but the Center for Disease Control is now saying, I don't know if you can trust these guys. They seem a little bit politicized these days, but they're saying it's up to your county, and many, 70% of us no longer have to wear masks at any time. It does feel like this is the time to maybe judiciously step out.
It does. I mean, we did this in June when the cases went down. Let's hope it doesn't go back up. But right now they're down, and it's time to get out there. So we're going. The CDC did not loosen up the mask mandates for the plane.
Still have to wear it on the plane. Okay.
Yep, okay. They're most likely going to renew them. I mean, they're pretty much guaranteed to renew them.
It's funny because that may be the safest part of your journey. It's the airport that's really more cause for concern. The air on the plane's pretty good unless you're sitting right next to somebody.
Exactly. So,
yeah.
I wrote a couple of posts this week. I don't know if you want to talk about 5 ways travel is going to change because of the war in Ukraine.
Oh,
if you're interested in
I didn't even think of that. How is that? What's happening there?
Well, there's a lot going on. Obviously, number one is travel does not compare to what's going on there. These guys are fighting for their livelihood.
Great tragedy. In fact, inspiring heroism.
Unbelievable. I mean, that Zelensky, in his quote, send ammunition, not a ride.
I tear up when he's been posting videos on Facebook, and it's.
Me too.
We haven't in this era been able to see such heroism. It's amazing.
Yeah, we're really seeing what war is like in real time.
Terrifying.
It's insane.
But I'm not flying to Kyiv anytime soon.
No, but
what if we're going to Poland?
There. Yeah, Poland's. I mean, listen. I just think, first of all, number one, gas prices are going up. So no matter what mode of transportation you're taking, a cruise, flights, driving, all that's going to go up, and you're going to pay for it.
Fuel is more expensive. Yep.
Definitely, you're going to see flights canceled. Also, longer flights because airspace is getting closed. So UK banned Aeroflot, which is a Russian carrier. So then Russia banned UK. And, if you've ever flown from London to Asia, you go right over Russia for most of the trip.
Oh, so you have to
now
reroute.
You have to go around it. So either have to make a stop or it's just going to take a lot longer and it's going to cost more money in fuel and time. So, and now just, it's all happening as we speak. But Lithuania just closed airspace to Russia, Poland, Estonia, Latvia, Bulgaria, Romania, Czech Republic. So things are happening. I mean, also cruise itineraries are changing. All the cruise lines are pulling out of Russia, even if nothing's happening there. They're just like, we don't want to support
I've been on a couple of cruises to St. Petersburg. It was a wonderful,
Me too. It's beautiful
port and a beautiful destination. But I wouldn't want to go there now.
They don't want to support them. And Rick Steves, who has one of the biggest tour guides and guide books, he just came out yesterday and he tweeted, our mission at Rick Steves is to help Americans understand the world through travel. But when we bring travelers to Russia, we also bring their dollars that would support Putin's aggression. And we have now canceled all of our 2022 tours to Russia. And also the sporting events, which is huge business for travel. The World Cup, the Formula One. There was a big soccer match going on in a couple months they've moved it to one was moved to Paris.
It's sad because I'm sure the people of Russia are good people, and
definitely,
and it's a shame that they have to suffer because they have a terrible leader.
It's exactly. All the Russians I've met, or almost all of them I met, are really good people. And here in LA, they did a story on the news about these Russians are joining these Ukrainian protests, saying that we're ashamed to be Russian right now.
Yeah.
And
that's amazing too. Talk about heroism. That's a brave thing to do, to protest,
especially
in
there
Russia.
in Russia. Yeah. But it's even going down to like alcohol. U.S. bars and liquor stores are now pulling Russian vodka off the shelves.
Yeah.
And it's their way of sanctioning.
And the other thing, by the way, and this is completely not travel related, but there are Ukrainian tech companies which you might want to support at this time. One of my favorite companies, Grammarly, is based in Ukraine. The founders are Ukrainian.
What do they do?
Programmers are Ukrainian. It's a great little plug-in that helps you write better. It's like a spell checker only for grammar.
How do you spell it?
Grammarly, Grammarly. Okay. And I think they have a blog post about this. We heard from them because they actually said, if you're going to support the war in Ukraine, we don't want to advertise on your show. And I said, nope, we're not supporting the war in Ukraine. We're supporting the Ukrainians against the Russian aggressor. So there are a lot. It's a tech center. A lot of companies, a lot of very talented programmers in Ukraine.
I've never been to Ukraine. I've been around it, but I would love to go. And, let's hope that happens.
MacPaw, which makes Clean My Mac. SparkMail, there are quite a few. Anyway, we support, I'll tell you what, we support the people of Russia. We support the people of Ukraine. We don't support the leadership in Russia that is acting
Definitely.
this way.
100%.
Yeah. And I think we can't send them our dollars at this point. I think that's appropriate. Plus, I wouldn't feel safe going to Russia right now, frankly.
No, listen. I mean, when I was on my seaborne cruise, we pulled up to the dock. There was a dead body on the dock.
Nice.
And they wouldn't put a cover. They wouldn't put a sheet over it. The captain was begging for hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoy, the Hermitage Museum is one of the great museums in the world in St. Petersburg. It's a beautiful city. The people of St. Petersburg are great, resilient people who survived the Nazi siege for many years and, with great loss. But, I won't be going there until this is resolved. And you know what? The best thing that could happen, the people of Russia say, we don't like Putin either. Let's just get rid of this guy.
And I think that's what will happen.
I hope so.
Let's hope.
I hope so.
Let's really hope.
Yeah.
How much time we got?
You got 2 minutes? Anything else you want to?
Yeah. So if people are going to Europe this summer, which, I know people will be freaked out about going, but listen, unless you're going along that border, you really have nothing to worry about. It's actually probably one of the better times to go because people will be welcoming you and happy to see you. It's kind of like when Ebola broke out in West Africa. South Africa and East Africa really got crushed, even though it's thousands of miles apart. And so it's kind of like if a bomb went off in Cleveland or there was a riot in Cleveland, there's no reason not to go to New York City or Chicago. So you just have to look at it that way.
Yeah.
And actually, I have a website for you about if you are traveling between countries in Europe. I can mention it next week because we can go a little bit in more detail because it's a really cool site about, if you are traveling between what you need to know, especially COVID related. And
I just one of my favorite photo apps is called Luminar. Comes from a company called Skylum, which I just remembered is from Kyiv. And in fact, if you go to Skylum, SKYLUM.com, they have a big button at the top, Save Ukraine, Defend Democracy. They say we were proudly founded in Ukraine. Our core development team is based in Kyiv. We're in a global society these days. That's why I agree with you. Travel is so important to understand the cultures and people of every country. And it's just a terrible thing when one country decides to act as an outlaw.
It is.
And they should be shunned. They should be shunned
Agreed.
until they start acting like a good citizen of the world. Thank you, Johnny Jeff. Somebody sent me a letter saying, can you tell me what the name of that song is about easing into your hip bag? There's Here's the magic laugh from Scott Wilkinson, home theater geek. He joins us every week to talk about home theater. He's a contributor at techhive.com, writes actually for a number of different magazines, online magazines. I guess we don't have magazines much anymore. Online.
You know, we don't.
Yeah.
I just saw a Facebook post yesterday. For many years, I wrote for a magazine called Electronic Musician.
Yeah.
Which was a
great magazine.
What we call great magazine. Yeah. We talked about synthesizers and recording studios and stuff. I was the technical editor there for 10 years. This May is its last print edition.
Yeah.
They're going to stop printing. And I thought, what took them so long?
Well, you know, Entertainment Weekly published its last print edition this week as well.
Yeah.
And that was a venerable, entertainment magazine.
Venerable.
They're just all going by the wayside because most of the computer magazines long gone.
Long gone, yeah.
And I think technical magazines, you're right. You'd think, Electronic Musician, any magazine that has somewhat technical audience would have been gone to the web a long time ago. But
yeah, they're still going to apparently. Yeah, they're going to do a digital edition.
Sure.
So I guess they'll do an email.
So is everybody. Yeah.
So is everybody.
Everybody.
I was sad because, I spent a good portion of my career there in print. And I got to tell you, I'm really happy to be online now. Among the many benefits is there's no big lag time. For a print magazine, you write something and then it comes out 3 months later.
When I first started, of course, in the very early days of technology, I was writing for magazines. And you'd get pre-release stuff.
Yeah.
And they try, because there was, in many cases, 3-month lead. So for monthlies anyway. So you get pre-release stuff and you'd have to sign a non-disclosure agreement and say, I won't tell anybody. And I remember when the iPhone came out in 2007, they sent out just 3 or 4 to the big publications, to Walt Mossberg at the Wall Street Journal, to Ed Baig of USA Today, Stephen Levy of Wired Magazine. I think those are the 3. Maybe there was one more. Were the only people who got iPhones, and they got them very early because of lead time. It took them a while. It took companies a while to figure out they didn't have to do that. Now, Apple sends, for instance, its most recent release of the Mac Studio, sends out dozens to YouTubers just a few days before and says you can't write about it until the day before we ship. So all the reviews came out on Thursday. It's very interesting. Yeah.
Yep, it really is.
So what do you want to talk about today?
Well, I got an interesting email about earbuds.
Boy, I'm conflicted on earbuds. I have so many earbuds. Right? Samsung keeps sending me earbuds for buying Samsung phones. I've got AirPods. So many.
Yep.
Most of them just fall right out of your ear, and I don't think the sound quality is that good.
Well, it can be. Now, Mark Hoffman wrote me and said he wanted reasonably priced Bluetooth earbuds, so true wireless, and main concern is getting a good fit. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today.
Yes, because if they don't fit snugly, you won't get good bass.
You won't get good bass. The whole sound will be kind of what I call tizzy, kind of fizzy, kind of zzz. Yeah, exactly. You really need to get a very good seal in your ear canal, which will also help in preventing them from falling out, which is another problem. So it's really, really important. Almost all earbuds come with a variety of what are called ear tips. That is the little silicone thing that you stick on the end of the earbud, what's called the nozzle, which is where the sound comes out. And they usually come small, medium, large, sometimes 4 or 5 different sizes. And it's really important to try them out and find the best fit for you because everybody's ears are different, of course. So I myself need very large ear tips in order for them to seal well and therefore not be prone to falling out.
A lot of us in TV and musicians do this, actually go to audiologists and get silicone rubber poured into our ears.
Yep.
They attach a little string to it, and then they pull it out. And then
after a couple minutes.
Yeah, then you send it to companies like JH Audio or UE Ultimate Ears or Sensophonics, and they make a hard plastic insert that you can wear.
That's right.
Because it's molded to the inside of your ear. Now, those fit really well.
This is absolutely the best way to go, without question.
You know,
my custom ear plugs, hearing protection are made from Sensify
because they seal. Now I have to say,
really well.
And this is a plug because they're a sponsor of some of our podcasts. Ultimate Ears, which is one of the early companies to do this, does make a new kind of earbud with this weird, you got to try these, light technology. You put it in your ear, press a button, it starts to warm up in your ear. Not hot, but warm, and molds to your ear.
Wow.
I'm looking for mine.
That.
I love them.
Oh, I've got to try that.
They're not quite as perfect as if you went to an audiologist, of course. But,
right.
But boy, they sure sound good,
but
and
going
they
to an
fit
audiologist,
better.
Going to an audiologist, you're going to spend $100 or $200
just for the
on
fitting.
Yeah.
The nice thing is your ears don't change much. So I have the earbuds that I use in studio are from JH Audio. And they keep your molds. So I sent them a note saying, "Can I have some more?" And they had the molds, and they just made some more.
I went to a headphone show a couple of years ago, and I think it was Ultimate Ears. I'm not 100% sure, but they actually did a laser scan.
Yes, remember that? Yeah. This is kind of the more reasonable child of that. And it warms up. And it's some sort of silicone tip. You have some, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried them?
Yeah, I did the fitting and everything.
It's kind of interesting,
isn't it? Yeah, it is. It's kind of fun.
How do you feel like the fit is?
So what was cool is that the ones that I had, one of my ears, it just did not fit well. Luckily, within the app, they have this thing where you go through this little test afterward, and then they put me in touch with the people at UE, and they
you were
sent
able to
me
get
smaller ones.
Because you have little ears.
My ears are not little, but my ear canals are little.
The canals are, and this is what's really critical. Even more important, sometimes some people have different sized on the right and the left.
Yep.
So you might use a large on the left and a medium on the right, or something like that. So my message here is to, if you're not going to go with this custom job, either with an audiologist or this new UE thing, which I really want to try.
$164, which is amazing because earbuds can, AirPod Pros, which don't fit that well, cost $100 more.
Yeah.
So again, they're a sponsor.
So these UEs are with the earbud itself, with the
they're called UE Fits.
Oh, okay.
Logitech bought UE a while ago, and this is the latest attempt to kind of cross the bridge between going to an audiologist and getting your ultimate ears, specially fitted. Are you wearing fitted ones right now? Aren't you, Micah?
No, I haven't gotten them yet.
You got regular ones?
Yeah, just regular.
Someday when you get into the big time, we'll send you an audiologist. When I first started at Tech TV, an audiologist came over and fitted everybody.
That's cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So maybe if you
that
work,
cost them a little money.
Yeah, at the time they thought they had lots of money. That's turned out not to be the case. But you're right. This is one of the reasons I don't like earbuds. They don't sound great unless they fit well, and they'll fall out. And they're easy to lose. I'm still kind of a fan of over-the-ear headphones, to be honest. When I want to hear the best quality sound, I think that's the best way to go.
Well, I agree. Although my One More, the numeral 1 MORE.
Oh yeah, I bought some of those because of you. Yeah,
they're very good.
They're good.
I use them when I'm on the stationary bike, for example.
You definitely want to. They'll all come with multiple tips. The good ones, anyway. Maybe not the skull candy, but the good ones will come with multiple tips that you can then try until you get one that sort of fits.
The
best. This UE stuff it's called a photopolymer gel tip, and it's light sensitive and it adjusts.
Yeah,
and I think the sound quality is quite good.
Uncured.
I'm pretty happy.
Pop them in, get the lights going.
Yes, wow.
Yeah, man.
Scott Wilkinson, Home Theater Geek. Thanks. I must have put them down somewhere.
Mine are by my bedside table because I use them.
I listen all the time.
Yeah.
And I hate to give them a big plug like that because they're a sponsor, and I wouldn't have known about them if they hadn't bought ads.
Hadn't been a sponsor.
Yeah, because it's brand new.
Right. But $164 is not bad, I think.
No. And they're true wireless, right?
They're Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Premium single dynamic 10mm drivers. They have microphones as well.
Oh. So you can use them for phone calls.
Yep. And the patented Lightform technology.
Oh, man. Well, I'm going to have to try that. I may see if Tech Hive will authorize me to do a review.
Yeah, you should do a review.
Yeah.
Or I'll ask, I don't know who's, I think it's Max's client. I'll ask Max if he can. I can't, I hope I didn't lose mine. I was bringing them to work. I carry them with me in my purse, but I take them out to charge them.
USB-C charging.
Yeah, USB-C.
USB-C, that's good.
Yeah, oh God. Does anybody only have
Amazon?
Really?
All of its products still.
Oh my God. Get with the
program. There are quite a few with micro or mini USB or whatever it's called. Mike Heiss in the chat room says they showed that one year at one of the CES tabletop events like Showstoppers or PepCom. Digital experience.
The urgency of it is kind of fun for me because you get the thing and it's like, hey, as soon as you take this out of the package, because it's completely sealed in this black package.
Yeah, any light.
So any light will start to cure them.
Will start to cure it.
Yeah.
Right,
So you
right.
pop them on and then you slip them in your ears and it's like, hold it a little bit. You'll feel some warmth in your ears because the app is following along with the process and it has like a countdown. And so you're listening to music so that it with some good bass and mids and highs. And so you're kind of jamming along as this purple light is shining out of your ears as it's fitting.
We have a video of me doing it somewhere. I don't know where it is. Yeah. Which recorded for the ad. Actually, I think they sound as good as my JH Audios. The nice thing about the custom molded ones is you can't really see them. They're really in your ear.
They're really in your ear.
These you can see, yeah. And it looks like UE still does custom IEMs. So, yeah, they do. You can still do the audiologist thing.
Yeah. And I mean, $164. Well, $100 to $200 just for the ear molds, and then you got to buy.
That's why I can't. I think they say these are reduced right now. I don't know what's going on because they're normally $264, but right now $164. UE fits.
They're normally what did you say?
$250. Oh, wow. But right now maybe it's because it's. No, it's not the color. 164. I think they're just really trying to get in people's attention. Because once you use them, you're going to tell your friends, as we did.
Yeah.
You're going to tell your friends. You're going to say, you don't want to get the audiologist. 164 is actually less than AirPods Pro, and those are not molded to your ear.
Right.
And I think they sound as good. They have noise canceling. They have all that.
Oh, active noise canceling?
Yeah. Yeah. And you can
be good, or that can be not so good.
You don't have to use it, but they have it.
If you turn it, if you can turn it off.
It works well. When I'm in the hot tub, I can't hear the bubbles.
The bubbles.
When I'm in the hot tub, I like to wear my UE Fit.
Oh my God!
Because I can't hear the bubbles.
Lovey,
keep blowing, Lovey. More bubbles. Oh man, Johnny Jet. There's another one I've enjoyed for the last 10 years. We will hear from Johnny on Ask the Tech Guys. Not as often, not every week, but from time to time. Same with Scott. Scott Wilkinson's not going anywhere. I think we're going to get a lot more Scott. In fact, we've invited Scott to do more in our Club Twit. I hope he does. You are a member of Club Twit, aren't you? Well, please, if you're not, join. You could see this whole thing without any ads. In fact, the whole year, 2023, without any ads, just go to twit.tv/clubtwit. You'll also get access to our Discord and the fabulous Twit Plus feed with shows we don't even put out in public, like Hands on Mac with Micah Sargent and Hands on Windows with Paul Thurrott, the Untitled Linux Show with Jonathan Bennett, Stacy's Book Club, and on and on and on. Club Twit. And I know it's past the giving season, but maybe there's a geek in your life that you maybe was underwhelmed by those socks. You want to give her or him something else? A yearly subscription to Club Twit would really fill the bill. Hint, 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 hint. All right, on we go. Let's talk about old DV tapes. I got a million of them.
Hello, Leo. Thanks for picking my call.
Welcome. The last time we had somebody calling from Venice Beach, I got into a fight with somebody.
Wait. You were okay. That was not me. But when I called you last, I think it was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks ago, you told me the same thing.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't the last time. You were the last time. So I just wanted to warn you. Keep your eyes peeled. You never know what's going to happen on Venice Beach. Okay, David, what can I do for you?
However, I'm most likely the one doing the fighting because I'm the big guy here. I'm really big.
Oh, you're safe then. Anyway. Good.
I am. But I'm not safe with my computer so much. Yeah. My buddy fixed a computer for me. He put a computer together for me.
Nice.
And I want to connect my Canon XL2 camera to it.
Yep.
Using a DisplayPort. That's on my computer.
Oh, you want video from your Canon?
Yes, sir.
Ah, so you're going to stream or something?
Yeah, I want to record my old mini DV cassettes and put them on digital.
Right. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. It's funny because that's now that you say it, that's the camera we used when we first started streaming. Our TWiT network was Canon XL2s. We had 3 or 4 of them, right, John? And pointed at me. So those are a little out of date now. They're maybe closer to 20 years old, but you have a lot of mini DV cassettes that you shot with it.
Certainly do.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to remember. I think does it have FireWire out?
Yes.
It does.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you need to get FireWire into your computer, which, of course, no longer has FireWire.
Bingo. I tried that. So I tried the second option is to go through the RCA and have a converter.
Oh, don't do that because you want to keep it digital if you can. Because then if you do that, so the camera, the mini DVs it's recording are digital. Mini digital video. So if you do that, then you're having the camera convert it to analog, converting it back into digital for the computer. You're adding a step that degrades the video. What you want to do is FireWire to Thunderbolt.
Okay. Wow. I heard about that and I neglected it.
Now, what computer are you using? Many modern computers will have Thunderbolt, but sometimes older computers, your guy built you one. It's a Windows PC, I'm going to presume.
Correct.
Yeah, it depends on what motherboard he uses and stuff. But you certainly will have USB. Yes. Thunderbolt looks like it's a Type-C adapter, so it doesn't look like it's the square USB Type-A adapter. It looks like, how do I describe that? It looks like a little rounded slot. It's rounded on both ends. If you have that, then you just have to get the right cable. The reason you want to do that is it stays digital, going right from the DV cassette right into the computer. You don't have that degradation of converting it twice.
Oh.
But you've got it, but the trick is going to get the right adapter. So what you're going to need to do, maybe find it out for your buddy who built you this, or did he give you the manuals when you got it?
Yes, I have that on the side.
Okay. So the manuals will tell you what ports that computer has. It's probably going to be in the motherboard manual. So look, it's a tower case?
Yes.
Okay. So he may have put some additional cards in there for other connectivity, maybe video. They'll have their own manuals, but chances are any Thunderbolt will be on the motherboard. If it only has USB, there is, let me see if there's Thunderbolt to USB 3 would probably work. So you need to get in other words, you need to get the cable that matches what you've got. So I'm sorry, FireWire to USB 3. Yeah, there are FireWire to USB 3 cables, $29 on Amazon.
Well, that's not bad.
Yeah. So actually even less, depends on what you've got. So you're going to find out what's on that motherboard. Worst case, you can go out and you could buy a FireWire adapter for your PC, put it in one of the slots, or more useful to you going forward, a Thunderbolt adapter, because Thunderbolt's really fast, 10 gigabits per second, up to 40 gigabits a second. So that's nice because the faster it is, you can connect it to hard drives, other video devices, and so forth. So you're probably, you're going to do this project once and then sell the cameras. They're not, unless you continue to, right? Or are you going to keep using them? Yeah.
No, I don't need it.
You don't need them. They're out of date. Yeah. So you could install, and I don't think a FireWire card is very expensive. You'd get a FireWire PCI card. But the first thing to do is see what capabilities you already have.
I see.
Let me see what a FireWire to PCI card would cost, because it's probably pretty cheap now.
I have FireWire the old-fashioned way. It looks like a rectangle but rounded on top with 3 or 4 pins.
Yeah, that's the standard FireWire. I can't remember on those cameras if it's FireWire 400 or 800. That doesn't really matter because, so a 4-port PCI FireWire adapter card is $40. So it's not expensive if you have a slot open still on your motherboard. That that might be a pretty easy way to do it. So first thing, check the motherboard manual, see if you've got Thunderbolt or FireWire, something that you can convert FireWire into. If you don't, you can add FireWire ports to your computer with a FireWire card. It goes right in the slot, and those are cheap.
Oh, well, I have the old one from my old computer when I used to use the Canon XL2 with my old
Did it
computer.
have a card, removable card?
Yes, but it doesn't fit inside my computer. I don't know much what I'm talking about, but I know I...
Is your buddy still around that built it for you?
Yeah. In Europe right now.
Oh, okay. No, don't worry about it. When you open up the computer, if there's free slots, you'll see these square things that you could put something in. Probably the standard from your old computer to your new one is different, so maybe that's the problem. Those new slots are called PCI slots.
PCI slots.
But again, the first thing to do is see if you already have something that you can convert it to. Although $40 might be cheaper than a FireWire to USB cable, so it might be just as easy to do that. So you put a card in. In fact, the chat room's given me a link to an Amazon page with exactly the right kind of cards, and it'll work with both kinds of Thunderbolt 1394A, the Sony kind, the Canon kind, and then the Apple kind. So, and this is $20. Okay, now you got to do it.
Thank you, chat room.
Thank you, chat room. Wow. Hey, have fun. What's on those videos?
15 or 16 years of documenting Muscle Beach.
Oh man, you got a movie there.
Yeah, I'm producing a documentary. Yeah.
Do you got Arnold in there?
I cannot confirm nor deny.
All right, now you got something. And the beauty of this is you can make that documentary, but you don't have to get a company to buy it and show it at Sundance. You can put it on YouTube.
I have my ego. I want to put it at Sundance and put it in the
okay, it'll be good. It'll be good. You can call it Pumping Iron 3, the Venice Beach story. It'll be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Actually, it's called The Original Muscle Beach.
The Original Muscle Beach. You know what? I would buy that. I'd love to see that.
Your wife wasn't there for a little bit.
Yeah, we've gone down there. She likes to do the monkey swings, you know, those rings that you swing along. But last time I was down there, they really upgraded Muscle Beach. They've got a nice gym equipment there now. It's pretty nice. Well. So people still lift there and
more than ever. And they don't lift, but we lift each other. We do acrobatics, like we lift people up.
I've seen that slack line and all sorts of interesting acrobatics out there. It's fun. I love Venice Beach. Yeah.
Fun.
Oh, I'm glad you have that documentary. I'm glad you have the tapes. Yeah, let's get those converted now. Absolutely, David. Get to work on it.
Thank you.
Any help I can give you, you call back.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, but look behind you. So when you say you're big, are you a weightlifter?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I lift people up and myself.
What's the biggest person you could lift?
I can lift like 4 people at least. That's the thing.
What?
It's
like you could bench press 600 pounds, man.
No. I cannot bench press, but I can put on my knees and my shoulders.
Oh, yeah, you hold them.
Physics.
Yeah, you hold them like that. Yeah, like an acrobatic trick. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Shane, I'm going to come down. I know Muscle Beach is reopening. I'm going to come down. I'm going to visit.
Please do. And look for Soup. That's my nickname, SOOP.
Soup.
Superman, because I body doubled Superman in the movies.
You did? Which Superman?
Yeah. The first one, Man of Steel.
Oh, man, you're ripped, dude.
Yeah.
No wonder you don't worry if somebody's coming up from behind. Nobody's coming up on Soup. Soup is all alone. We're going to take a little break from calls momentarily, as we always do at this time, for Sam Abuelsamid, our car guy. He's an expert in the technology of vehicles, principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights, podcaster at wheelbearings.media. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Leo. How are you today?
I am well. What's up in the world of cars?
Well, I took the Miata out for the first drive of the year yesterday. It's temperatures up into the did you 55 yesterday and 60 today.
Did you throw out the roof so you can't take it out unless it's warm?
I didn't throw it out, but I never put it up. The only time I ever put up the top on my car is when I'm washing it. That's it.
Is it a rag top?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So really, it's not a roof. It's a roof in name only.
Well, no, it's a roof. I mean, it'll keep out the rain. So if it starts raining while I'm driving, it'll keep me dry.
Yeah.
It keeps the water out when I'm washing the car, but the rest of the time it stays down because it's a convertible. It's supposed to be driven with the top down. If you're not going to if you have a convertible and you don't put the top down, then why did you buy a convertible?
That's a good question.
Because almost all convertibles look worse with the top up than they do with the top down.
Yeah.
But just leave the top down. If you don't want your hair messed up, don't buy a convertible.
Sam, it seems you have strong feelings on this matter.
I have an opinion or two on this topic. I see people driving around in convertibles with the top up on beautiful days like today, and I wonder why did you bother? But speaking of convertibles,
yes,
this week Polestar, which is it started off as a company in the mid-'90s developing race cars based on Volvos for touring car racing.
That explains the name Polestar, a star of the pole position.
Well, actually, it's more about the pole
the
star,
North
like
Star.
the North Star. Yeah,
hey, I was trying to be
up
clever.
in Sweden.
Yeah.
But at any rate, they started off, and then they got into building high-performance road cars for Volvo. Volvo eventually bought Polestar. Then Volvo got bought by Geely, the Chinese manufacturer, and then they decided, we're gonna make Polestar a dedicated EV brand, and so they set it up, sort of spinning it out again, and they launched their first cars a couple of years ago, the Polestar 1, which is actually a plug-in hybrid coupe, high performance, and then the Polestar 2, which is available now that you can buy as a sedan, and they've got more models coming out. But they showed a new concept this week called the Polestar O2, as in oxygen, and it's a convertible. It's a roadster, and it's quite a stunning looking roadster, I think. And they haven't said yet if they're going to build this, but it's based on the same a new platform that they've been developing. It's a bonded aluminum platform that they're going to use for their upcoming Polestar 5 high performance.
It's interesting. We for years cars were made of steel. But people are trying different materials, I guess, because for weight reasons.
Yeah, aluminum is considerably lighter than steel.
Yeah,
and depending on how you put it together, it can be just as strong. I mean, as an example, Ford has been building F-150s out of aluminum since 2015, and they're plenty strong. It's not an issue. And what's interesting, one of the interesting things about this vehicle and this new platform that Polestar is developing, Polestar is based in Sweden, but they established a new R&D facility in the UK, and they hired a bunch of people from companies like Lotus. Lotus, the sports car maker, back in the 90s, they developed, when they were developing the Elise, which eventually became the basis of the original first-generation Tesla Roadster. They wanted to make the Elise really lightweight and make it out of aluminum, and they had to figure out ways to build this thing.
What about safety? I mean, steel, is strong. I don't want to drive around in a tin can.
Aluminum can be plenty strong as well.
Oh, good. Okay.
It can be just as strong. It can be just as strong as steel.
Hence the bonded aluminum, like plywood. Yeah.
Right. So what they generally with steel vehicles, they're most of the parts are welded together or bolted together.
Right.
But in order to get, one of the things they wanted to do with the Elise and that they're doing with the new Polestar platforms, they wanted to use extrusions. So an extrusion is when you take metal and you heat it up till it's almost like a paste. It's not quite liquid, but pliable. And then you force it through a die. So it's kind of like when you squeeze your tube of toothpaste, you're extruding the toothpaste out of the end of the tube.
Didn't Elon do that with some Teslas? Sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he got the technology from Lotus.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
A bunch of Lotus engineers have worked at Tesla. And so Tesla originally developed this using extrusions, and they were trying to figure out, okay, how can we join these parts together? And they actually they worked with some companies that build adhesives, and they developed some structural adhesives to glue these parts together.
Okay. Now, I'm sure it's very strong, but it does make people nervous
really strong.
When you say you're driving an aluminum car that's been glued together. There's kind of that sounds like not so good. It sounds like it's maybe made out of chewing gum wrappers.
Yeah, no. These adhesives that they've developed for joining these aluminum components. So they've got a mix of castings, extrusions, some stampings, and to join it all together, they developed these industrial adhesives that are incredibly strong. It's stronger than welds.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so this is the kind of technology that they're using. A number of other manufacturers have adopted it. You mentioned Lotus or Tesla. Tesla has used it in the Model S and the Model X. And of course,
so I was
original
driving
Roadster.
a chewing gum wrapper vehicle. I just didn't know.
You
it.
were, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And the
You know
original
what's
Roadster,
interesting?
of course, was based on that same architecture.
That is one thing I noticed. It feels like the hoods and the the fenders and stuff on my Model X seemed thin. It felt like I could dent them by punching them, and I guess that's because they were thin.
Yeah, if you tap on them, they'll feel like they're thinner, but they're typically actually thicker than steel panels.
Oh.
Because aluminum itself, at the same thickness, aluminum is not as strong as steel, but you can get the same strength by using a thicker gauge of aluminum, and it'll still be lighter. So it can still be about 30% lighter than a comparable steel part. And so,
and of course, weight's huge with electric vehicles.
It's really important with electric vehicles
weight and
because
aerodynamics.
batteries are heavy.
Yeah,
and the more mass you have to move, the more energy it takes to move that. So it's going to affect your range and your performance. And as a prime example, we talked recently about the Hummer EV, and the battery pack in the Hummer EV weighs 2,932 pounds.
It's more than a Honda,
which is about the same as the Honda Civic that's parked in my garage, and about half again as much as my Miata. So using aluminum is great. I mean, aluminum is a little more expensive to use than steel, but you make up for it in other ways by reducing the mass. You can make the vehicle more efficient. Aluminum is also very easily recyclable. Steel is easily recyclable as well, but it's really easy to take the scrap. When you're machining it and cutting off parts, taking all the scrap parts, melt them back down again, make more parts out of it. So you have very little waste with aluminum. And so this Polestar O2 concept, like the upcoming Polestar 5, uses a bonded aluminum chassis that should be really, really strong, very lightweight, and should help the performance compared to building the same thing out of steel or some other material.
Is this the one behind you? Is the one with the drone in the back?
This is the one with the drone in the back. So the production version, if they build it, probably won't have a drone in the back. But this one has a drone that you can pop out, and it'll follow along. It's paired to the car.
It's the first car with a selfie cam, and I think it's very appropriate for this modern world.
Absolutely.
See me driving
what could
around.
possibly go wrong?
Sam Abuelsamid, principal researcher, Will Bearings.media is his podcast, principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights, and always a pleasure to have you on. And I'm glad you were able to drive your rag top around town. I will survive. We will survive, because you know why? It's time for the greatest person in the whole wide world, the Gizwiz himself, Dick DeBartolo, Mad's maddest writer. Hello, Dickie D.
Leo, how you doing, pal?
I am feeling fine now that you're here.
Oh, wow.
Because every week you bring me some piece of junk that I end up buying and regretting.
I cannot wait to hear Leo's reaction to this one.
Oh, you already know.
Oh, have you peeked ahead?
Oh, I sneak a peek, yeah.
Oh, my.
So I can
Leo,
plan for the show notes.
This is very funny. Okay, so it's a new game. Well, it's not too new, because I think like 1,500 people have already bought it. 2,700. Okay, it's Bananas.
Yeah.
And it is the monkey tail game. And as the company says, it's for kids, teens, and tipsy adults.
These games always worry me. The last time we got one of these games on your recommendation, I might add, you put a thing in your mouth.
Oh, yeah. This is, this won't be painful at all. So you take your monkey tail.
Wait a minute.
And
what do you mean you
blow
take
it up.
your monkey tail?
You get two monkey tails and you blow them up.
Is
and
it a balloon?
Them. Yeah, it's like a balloon. Okay. And then it comes with a belt, and the belt goes around.
You have to
your
wear
waist.
Yeah, you got to wear your monkey tail.
Well, of course, the monkey tail is behind the monkey.
Yeah.
And
okay.
then
how do you wear it? Where do you wear it around your waist?
You wear it around your waist and you put the little loops on the floor. And the object is you spin a spinner and it tells you how many loops you have to pick up.
By the way, I can see you're doing this in Dennis's apartment.
Yes.
Is this a game for two?
It's a game for two. You get two tails, and it's more than two. Yes.
This is guaranteed fun for the whole family.
Oh my! You know what, Leo? I found this at a trade show, at the new product show, and this guy stepped out from behind the table, and I just said, "Oh my God!"
So yeah, he had a tail coming out between his legs, and then you use the tail to hook things.
Yes. So you get these loops.
Did Dennis ever play this game, or did he just cast you aside?
We just got it yesterday, so I just blew them up. And now you have to walk around and bend down and loop. And
all right, I'm getting this. This is fun for the whole family.
It's 22. It's 21.
No, we'll be playing this next Christmas. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! And there's a fun thing. One part of the spinner says you must wear your tail backwards.
Oh,
okay,
that's tough.
So it's a riot.
You're very good with the prehensile tail there. That's good.
I think I was actually born with one. But,
Wow.
Being Italian, they don't alter anything.
Yes,
so,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's called Bananas.
Bananas and
it's Bananas, the monkey tail game, and you can get it on Amazon. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, there's a better price. The link I put up. It's $21.24.
They saw you. They saw that you're linking
did the link go up already?
And they raised the price.
They
do
did.
that. They do that.
Yes, they do
I
that.
can spend a couple more.
Oh, wait, I'm logged in and it is only $21.24, so it might be a Prime deal of some sort because
okay,
I can get it by Friday.
Yeah.
No, Monday. I'm gonna.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, you're right. It says join Prime and get it for $21.24.
Yeah,
but I'm on Prime.
I don't think you're logged in, Leo.
I'm not signed in. Okay.
Yeah.
So be a Prime member and save $3.
I'm buying this. No.
Are you?
Oh yeah, this is hilarious. Oh, this is hilarious. I mean, just playing it, just shooting the video, it's just very funny.
And
it's just a very funny thing.
We need things to do during family get-togethers. Otherwise, we might talk politics, religion, sex, or drugs. And
or
none
worse,
of the
talk
above.
to each other.
Or
Right.
talk to each other. This way, we have something to do that will keep everybody laughing and keep the conversation light. Good.
Yeah.
I like it.
In one of their ads, it said that on TikTok, they've already gotten 50 million views.
I just bought it. Micah just bought it.
Oh, okay.
You got it.
Okay.
I think. Wait a minute. That's like
a duel of the tails. I
Yeah,
can see
4
that as
tails.
a TWiT special.
Yeah, that's a
monkey tails.
special. Yeah. Wow. That's I can't tell you what the chat room's saying right now. But they're enjoying this.
Yeah. Oh, good. Very good.
Wow. Go to gizwiz.biz. That's Dick's website. GIZWIZ.biz. He's our gizmo wizard. Get it? So that's the GizWiz. And if you click the big blue button, the big blue button that says the GizWiz visits the tech guy, Droopy Dog, click the big blue button and you will see the monkey tail. But you can also, while you're at gizwiz.biz, you can also click the big red button that says, what the heck is it? That's the What the Heck Is It contest. A chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. If you can identify this close-up image of a gizmo or a gadget.
And Leo, the winning Mad, actually, the reveal was just this week.
Oh, here
the
it
magazine,
is. This is what you're playing for. 70 years anniversary issue.
So it has a lot of original material. It's going to be the only Mad that Barnes & Noble is going to sell.
This is a must-have.
They expect it will be a big deal.
Is it going to be printed on fancy paper and bound? And all that?
No, just the regular slick stock.
70 years dumb. It's the 70th anniversary.
Can you imagine?
Can you believe that? Wow.
Yeah.
Mad Magazine. Alfred E. Newman has his teeth in a glass by the bed.
I love that. I thought the cover was very funny, but the missing tooth. Yeah, it's great.
And you have a new thing in here, but it's also, there's some tributes from like Weird Al and Jordan Peele.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
I have never seen before photographs, some real photographs from New Year's Eve parties.
Oh,
I think it's going to be a very fun
can't
issue.
wait. You really want this issue. I mean, if you don't win the game, of course, you can always go and buy it, which you probably should. And let those folks at DC know there is an interest in Mad Magazine. Please, please, please.
Yeah, I'll get copies next week, and you'll have yours by next Saturday.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind
All
of
you guys. No problem.
Thank you. And, of course, if you'd like to win an autographed copy, go to gizwiz.biz, click the What the Heck Is It button, identify this thing, which is, I think, a thimble of some kind. It's some sort of a sewing equipage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Stick your finger in it.
And
yeah. For darning socks. That's what
it is.
It's for darning socks.
Those darn socks.
People don't see those anymore. Yeah. And so, but I'm an old guy. I remember, the days of darning socks. If you identify it correctly, you're in the drawing for 6 autographed copies of the 70th anniversary Mad Magazine. But if you're clever and wrong, you're in a drawing for 12. You do the math, because it's way beyond me. Dick also does a great podcast called The Gizwiz at gizwiz.tv and joins us every week. You got me to spend $21.96. Well done, Dickie D.
I think you'll find it worth it.
Have a great week. On the line from the Arconia in beautiful downtown New York, Charles Hayden, apartment 14C.
Hey, Leo.
On the beautiful Upper West Side. Are the leaves changing in Central Park? Is it beautiful?
Well, I'm looking out the wrong window. But I think they are. And just to be clear, for those of you who aren't, up to the latest hip thing, I'm actually Steve Martin here on the phone with my old friend Leo.
Oh, Steve, that's very nice.
And I have a reason I'm calling in is because there's a little announcement that is going to bring people a little bit of sadness, but they'll have tolerance and they'll have understanding.
I wanted you to tell people so they wouldn't, get mad at me. You cheer them up.
Ladies and gentlemen, by the end of this year, Mr. Leo Laporte will be retiring from the radio. Is that accurate, Leo?
That is accurate.
Wow. I mean,
I've been doing this show almost as long as you lived in the Arconia.
Well, you have provided so much. I sometimes, rarely, only when I have to, call tech support for some app or thing or something. And there are exceptions, but I'm not going to mention any names. But sometimes the person on the other end of the line is arrogant. They say things so quickly you can't understand what they're talking about, and they just assume, take your USB, download the latest upgrade, then reload and enter your new password, and there you go. Bye. And you just stay with people. You're kind, you're courteous, you're understanding, and you've just helped so many people. And now you're retiring because you're evil and dark.
True. This is true.
The darkness is coming
out. You don't want
out.
to help people anymore.
Yeah.
You're tired of helping.
You told me once that you started listening on the podcast while you were up in Vancouver doing the Big Year movie. Yes?
Might have been, but I'm aware of your television. I go back to screensavers, everything.
People forget or maybe don't know that you're quite the geek, actually.
No, not, things have changed so fast, but,
you know what you're doing. You asked me for a NAS, and I said, well, get a Synology, and can I help you set it up? You said, no, I got this. And you set it all up.
Well, that's secretly the company I'm talking about that won't help me. But anyway, it's up and running. Up and running.
Thank you for letting the world know. Take the sting a little bit out. Last show will be December 18th. We're going to keep doing a podcast, but the last show on the radio will be December 18th. And next hour, we're going to talk to my replacement, by the way. He's going to join us next hour. Yeah.
Great.
So the radio station is going to.
Celebratory guy. Let me just tell you, you're not. I remember when you did your 1,000th show, you sort of went ho hum. And then you did your 2000 show, and you did whole home.
I think you're like that too, though, right? You don't.
Yeah.
You're there to entertain, not to celebrate yourself.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
But you were very excited one New Year's. I remember that.
You didn't watch that, did you?
I didn't watch it, but I heard about it.
I shaved my head and tattooed my butt. It was. Yeah. That's.
Well, congratulations, and thank you for helping everybody, including me. I just love to listen. I love your. I won't call them diatribes that start the show, but your.
Thank you.
Catch up on all that's happening with tech. It's really nice.
Just to flesh out the details of what Steve
everyone's
blurted out. December 18th will be the last Tech Guy show on the radio. Next hour, and I'll leave some surprise. Next hour, the new host will join you. So the show will continue on. You're going to get to keep hearing it on your stations. Many more, I hope, once I'm gone. Micah and I will continue to podcast. Of course, we do a whole podcast network. And in a way, I'm not really retiring because I love doing what we do. Yeah. It's great. So we are going to take the Tech Guy, turn it into a podcast called Ask the Tech Guy. I tried to get an S on there, but it was too expensive. The artists.
It was like
so
an extra
it's really Ask the Tech Guys because all of the people that you hear on this show, including Micah, Scott Wilkinson, Johnny Jett, Dick DeBartolo, all of our experts will come on from time to time. We're going to do interviews, but most importantly, we'll be answering calls. That'll be Sundays in the same time period, and it's internet only, not broadcast. So we're gonna keep doing that. I'm not retiring from podcasting's not really work. I don't even have to show up on time. Plus, I miss brunch, and it's been 19 years.
But is brunch at 9 or noon?
Maybe that's why I've been missing it. It's been I've been doing this show. I've been in radio 46 years, but I've been doing this show for almost half that time. 19 years. Wow. It'll be 19 years next month. Thanks so much to Robin Bertolucci, the program director at KFI, who called me in 2004 and said, "Would you like to do a radio show?" And I said, "Would I?" I started in radio in college, and I love this medium more than any other. Thank you, Robin. And then, of course, to the great folks, Craig Kitchen and my current boss, Julie Talbot at the Premier Radio Networks, who syndicate the show nationwide. Thanks to every single program director all across the country who put this show on the air. Good news for you, guys and gals. The show's going to continue with a great host. Wasn't that sweet of Uncle Steve to call in and do the announcement for me so I didn't have to? Really great to hear from Steve Martin, Sam Abuelsamid, too, another great contributor all these years, and Dick DeBartolo. Dick's going to continue on with the GizFizz, but it'll be on Wednesdays right after This Week in Google. If you're not a member of Club TWiT, that's going to be an important thing to do. So you can see that is join Club TWiT, so you can see Dick DeBartolo and the GizFizz now at its new time, since we're going to turn off the lights on Saturday and leave them off all day. However, we will be back. Micah Sargent and I will return with Ask the Tech Guys. There's two of us now, and we'll be doing that every Sunday from the same time, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific time. That's 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern time. You can watch on the live stream, live.twit.tv, or you could subscribe and get it in your podcast player every week. So the Tech Guy's not really going anywhere. It's just going off the radio and into your hearts. I hope you had a wonderful 2022. It's a little bittersweet for me to say goodbye to many, many years, 19 years as the Tech Guy. But I have to say, thank goodness I got you still. We're going to stay together, right? And Micah and the whole team, we're going to come to you all through 2023. Let's spend that year together. I think it's going to be a great year. Have a wonderful holiday season. A very happy 2023. I'm Leo Laporte. We'll see you January 8th for Ask the Tech Guys. Happy New Year! Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWiT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.